On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will bust out their patented approach to breaking down the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. You know, the one with the blue guy. After that, they'll then lay down some predictions and speculations for the show's finale episode. After their detailed and speculative-filled Boba breakdown, they'll update you on a release window for the Kenobi series, as well as a production update for the Andor series. Matt will then recap the latest issue of the Crimson Reign comic book run, while also touching on the new Kenobi comic series coming this May. Finally, the show will end with this week's iteration of the fan segment, complete with fan responses to the question of the week, and the latest round of Star Wars artists deserving of a top 5 mention. Punch it, Chewie!
Hey, now everybody, and boy do I love seeing the room full here in the live stream before we even get going, because it makes for some good laughs. As Tones is in here, one of our wrenches, and he pointed out the fact that I don't know my English grammar from a hole in the wall because I have I've been trying at least for the early arrivers to the live stream, which, by the way, if you want to join the live stream, we do it every Tuesday around 2:30 p. East on YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But I just put up like a placeholder sign. It says standing by, but it's BYE. And Tones is like, what are you trying to say with that placeholder
Sending the
card?
wrong message.
Right. So
don't buy that.
Anyways, Tones, thank you for that. That was a fun little pre-show talk I just had with Nick about how stupid I am. But that was he did point it out, right? I mean, they did kind of create the language, and we've done our own thing to it. So thank you, good Tones. I actually got to hear Tones' voice for the first time, Nick. He did, it was something on Discord, but he's got like that proper Northern UK, like getting to the point where you can't really even understand what he's saying accent. It was beautiful.
Nice.
Yes, it's always good when Tones is in here, but we got all the diehards. You know, Devin was in here. We already said Tones. We got Props. We got Scion. We got Black Series Clips. Mythos Boba. Come on, Kingdom of Weird, let's do it! Everyone's excited for the Book of Boba Fett, S1E6 breakdown, as are we. And by we, I mean myself, the mouse in my pants, and of course, young Nick over here. To my right or left, I always forget which is which based on the output of the video. So yeah, no bullshit segment this week, just like last week. There's just too much to talk about. From the desert comes a stranger. That was the title of the most recent episode of the Book of Boba Fett, which has fully morphed into, as was predicted on this show and by anyone else that was paying attention, The Mandalorian Season 2.5. And that's a great thing. Like I said last week, everyone needs to get off this, Boba's name's in the title, wah. My friends, this is the Mandoverse. Get used to it. Everyone comes to his party to play. That's it.
Mandoverse is a very important word that you just said, and we'll get into that one.
Yeah,
once
I mean that's what we that is the era we are in now. That is this timeline until we reach sequel trilogy time. This is the Mandoverse, and it is it's a beautiful verse to be at least witnessing. Growing into something that I don't know any of us probably expected to see what we've been seeing over really the past 2 or 3 years with The Mandalorian Season 2 and then the Book of Boba Fett. So it's a good time to be alive, at least if you are a Star Wars fan that doesn't hate Star Wars, right? I mean, we even this week...
very few people now. Right. It's very few people who are left in that category, it seems.
It is, man. It's like... there's a fine line we walk, or at least I walk on the show of like not becoming a do as I say, not as I do type of person, but it's becoming nauseating. Every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it tends to die out a bit over the weekend. But everyone's sitting there, playing the armchair VFX quarterback or this isn't how I thought this should be in my head. It's like, my God, people. I mean, this week, I don't know. Since you and I, we don't talk any shop between Tuesday and Tuesday. I mean, Nick...
The only thing we talked about this week was Moonfall.
Right, which I still want to go see because I love disaster movies. But we I don't know if we have time for that today. But we don't discuss Star Wars. I mean, thankfully, I've got the Discord gang in there to kind of satiate my hunger for wanting to speculate and tell other people they're wrong and I'm right. But Nick and I, we don't discuss anything. So, Nick... Coming off a fresh viewing of the Book of Boba Fett S1E6, what do you think the fandom bitched about the most this week? This is like we can make this a new segment of the breakdown. Yeah. What do you think, without me telling you, people bitched about this week?
So this one was actually usually I'm pretty good at keeping away from the spoilers, but this one was impossible. I mean, there was it wasn't even internet shit. It was just I'm going to my fucking my email and one of the things that I see is fucking, spoilers about this episode. So I had kind of seen it, but I'm guessing again, fan controversy. I don't know, but I'm going to guess they hated his face again. Is that it? Is it Luke's face?
Luke passed. Luke passed muster, but you're close. Passed. It was another character's face that they hated.
Cad. What was it?
He didn't. He wasn't blue enough. His nose wasn't long enough, and he didn't have the toothpick.
Dude, I don't give a fuck. Can I put that any more straightforward? I mean, for everybody listening, and I literally don't care. I mean, you have not blue enough,
Nick. At the end of today's episode, you at least have to go on Instagram and just scroll through some stories and whatnot. I mean, you had motherfuckers that were taking their time on Wednesday and Thursday at home on their own rigs to, in quotes, if you're not on the live stream, improve for all the professionals that made Cad Bane and Dave Filoni who signed off on it. But they sat around on their computers to improve it for everyone because I guess it looked so fucked up that, it just was why even bring the character in the live action if you're going to make them look like this?
Well, do these people know the biological workings of a Duros? Do you know how Duros biology changes when it's subjected to harsh desert climates?
Yeah,
Have you ever seen a Duros on Tatooine in the middle of the Dune Sea? Do you know what it does to his skin? No? Then shut the fuck up.
It wasn't. It was more his nose was flat. They Voldemorted him. I'm like, people. We're talking about a live action living creature versus a very highly stylized animated series. Yeah. And even then they're like, "Oh, you can't make the direct correlation between what Count Dooku looks like and what Chris." I'm like, "Why the fuck not?" That's what you people are doing.
You're literally doing the same thing. Oh my God, they didn't.
According to these people, Nick, people like Christopher Lee and Anakin and Hayden and Ewan, their faces should all be elongated in Revenge of the Sith. They should have very angular jaw lines and straight hair. It's I get, I mean, it's like I said, it's a hard thing to get into because then we're essentially nitpicking. So it's we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. But my God, it is so tiring, as Devin is saying in the live stream, to come off an episode like that, which was glorious. Like I said, I mean, as a fucking Star Wars fan, be it old like myself or new, did you ever dream of getting content like that in real life? No, maybe, but you're like, this is never going to happen. We're never. How the fuck are you ever going to get a Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka together with a baby Yoda and a Mandalorian and some sweet armor? I mean, just. That's what we have, yet it still turns into, wow, that was fucking great, but, it's what the fuck do you people want? Do you need George Lucas to come out of retirement and blow you while you're watching this stuff? I don't get it. Like, why does everything need to be criticized? Why can't we just appreciate the content that we are being treated to at this point in time as Star Wars fans? It's ridiculous. It's like, I mean, Nick, I think it's impossible to make something that Star Wars fans will not find something to bitch about.
Yeah, it is. Which is why a lot of creators don't want to work in Star Wars anymore. I mean, just think about that. Like, you know, why hasn't there been a movie made since 2019?
It's
because
like
of the fans, and because people don't want, like, if I'm a director and, you know, I'm a writer and I want to write for Star Wars, I don't want to do it anymore post TLJ, because I see what the fandom's like. It's like, why would I put my heart and soul into doing something like that when it's just going to get shit on? And I can go make as much money, if not more, to go direct another property that I can put the same themes in, the same story beats in, and tell my own version of it, and then not be linked to the toxicity of the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah,
like, I don't blame people
let's be real.
for not wanting to do it.
I think there are many reasons George decided to sell. But you can't tell me at this point in time that some of the toxic shit that was even happening back then when the assholes didn't have their own personal digital megaphones to scream in his face, "You suck, George! We love you, but you fucking suck!" And that's the fandom now. And we like to say, oh, it's a small part and this and that, but fuck, man, we must have a lot of fucking assholes that follow us then, because I say the predominant content in our feed post a new episode of Star Wars these days is shitting on it, even if it's fucking fantastic. If it's not Cad Bane's look, it's like, well, it's called Boba Fett, and there's no Boba Fett! It's like, okay. It's called the Book of Boba Fett, motherfuckers. Guess what books have? Chapters. And sometimes chapters veer away from the main. I.e. the Tolkien verse. Go read that shit.
Harry Potter is not even in every chapter of Harry Potter.
Oh my God. It's like
it's just, think about that for a second.
It's rough because, listen, I've had my moments. I've bitched about Star Wars too, but it's never really been like nonsense, topical. Like, the stuff that offends me, it's narrative based. As I've always said, I'm drawn to Star Wars because of story. And when the story gets wonky, that's when I complain. You're not going to hear. I don't dedicate an ounce of my viewing time to worrying about what the fuck Cad Bane looks like in real life, or what fake Luke looks or sounds like. Can I say, yeah, hey, Luke looks a lot better, but the voice still doesn't sound natural. It doesn't really pair. There's some scenes where it really feels like someone's in a closet reading the lines and then they're just blaring them onto the screen. Sure, but am I even going to remotely bring that up in the discussion about what I just watched in episode 6? No, because I don't give a fuck. Who cares? It's all ancillary to the narrative, the story we're getting. And to me, it's a pretty damn juicy and fun to speculate and think about what is going to happen story. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, Kingdom Weird, they're good points. Every fandom has its sector of shitheads. There's no doubt about it. But it would be nice to just not have to have those poo speckles and like flinged at you all day long. It's like, my God, because it's a form of gaslighting where after a while you're like, am I an asshole for not being upset about this shit? Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, why am I not fucking spending hours of my time on a computer showing professionals how to do their job? Or telling Dave Filoni that his signing off on Cad Bane was fucking dumb. Yet on my next story, I have a meme of him being Jesus Christ. Like, it makes no sense. There's that too, Nick. There's like a bipolarism here. It's like they'll sit there and flamethrow the guy's work and choices, and then on the next story, thank God for Dave Filoni. He saved us from the evil Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, what do you want? Do you respect the man for what he's doing? Or do you want to sit here in your fucking basement and challenge every decision Favreau, and the people that are getting paid to make this shit make? Because that's what you're doing. when you're sitting there bitching about designs and what an animated character looks like in the real world, you were saying that Dave Filoni doesn't fucking know what he's talking about or what he's looking at. Okay? So go fuck yourself. All right?
People wonder why. if people wonder why, like, I don't engage in the social media verse of the Star Wars fandom, I mean, that's exactly why. Like, when I came in, like, it's nice to watch an episode, and like for me, I don't watch them on the day it releases. It's nice to like watch an episode and not have like pre-colored kind of disposition going in because of what people are saying on social media and stuff. Yeah. And like for this one, because like I watched it, I saw Cad Bane, I was like, oh, badass, his eyes look great, everything. I was like, cool representation of Cad Bane. And not for a second did I think that people were going to say that he wasn't blue.
Oh, dude. I mean, that was the big one this week was how dare they make Cad look light blue and give him a smaller nose. Are
they going to hire the YouTube guy that made his face more
It was
blue?
A motherfucker in a costume. Like that wasn't even CG. Like that's even better than CG Luke. Like they actually dressed the motherfucker up. But that's still not good enough, you know? Now it's like, you know, they should make all characters CG like Jar Jar.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough, but you know, like for us, I think that, you know, the good stuff was in the story, like you said. The enjoyable parts were
go ahead. Let's get into the breakdown. You know, shake it down a bit. Tell us what you liked from a global level, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah. So, I mean, I liked the whole episode. I mean, let's just be straight up. There wasn't a single thing about this episode that I didn't like. What's really interesting to me is the angles that they're kind of approaching this universe from now. You know, like now we do have the possibility of a splinter. Like, do we get, you know, based on Grogu's decision in the next episode, you know, the universe could look drastically different, this TV universe. So I like how they're setting things up that way, and they're kind of leaving us on a little cliff for the last episode to see like which decision he makes, because that decision ultimately decides the fate of this TV universe. I loved the training sequences. I loved the conversation between Ahsoka and Luke. I mean, that meeting was one that I think all Star Wars fans who have been like deep Star Wars fans of the cartoon series and stuff like that have been.
Yeah, but did she put her arm on the right hip like animated Ahsoka used to do when she'd stand that way?
Did somebody actually say that?
No, that's me being an asshole, but...
Okay, I was going to say, because if somebody said that, I was like, okay, I think...
I would like to point out, though, I don't know if Dave told her to do it, but Rosario, when they're walking through the woods, she does Ahsoka's kind of one arm on the hip stance that she is known for, so kudos to that.
Nice. Yeah, no, that was a good pick out. I mean, that whole scene at the, you know, the In Progress Academy was awesome. I love that. I love the flashback of the Clone Wars sequence for Order 66. And then like the Cad Bane thing, like I thought that was pretty fucking awesome. I was like, man, it's old school Wild West gunslinging showdown, you know?
I just feel bad the guy doesn't have a fucking ride, and like he's just walking around the Tatooine deserts aimlessly. Like,
I know, that's what I was saying. Like maybe he lost color because he fucking walked from wherever he was to Mos Pelgo. Like that's a long ass walk. If it was a human, they'd be dead.
Sucking it out. He like reverse tans.
Yeah,
he gets lighter in the sun.
Did anybody say that his hat was too small? His hat should have been bigger. Like I don't know, but like I love that whole showdown scene between what's his name, the sheriff, God, now his name Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. But I mean, it was great, and obviously Cobb's still alive, and unfortunately his little sheriff buddy, his deputy, is dead.
You know what, dude? That guy, again, I look at that as like that could have been my friend, because that was the fucking stunt coordinator. That was
really
yeah. I was like, this motherfucker had a kid at the worst time you could ever think to have a kid. Like, with hindsight, it's even worse. Not only did he miss out on getting into Mando Season 2 and potential future Star Wars, but then the pandemic hit, like, 3 months after he had the kid. So it was like, hey,
Yeah, I mean,
welcome to being a dad. Now you got to deal with it during this fucking nightmare scenario.
Yeah,
not to
the
mention you
worst
also
time.
lost out on being in Star Wars.
Yeah, but I mean, like really from stem to stern, I think the episode was top notch.
Yeah,
It's one of the
totally.
best of the season so far. I mean, it's hard to pick out like a particular favorite moment because everything was so well done. Everything was so good.
I mean, it was vintage
yeah.
Filoni-esque for sure.
Yeah, 100%. The training droid thing, I thought that was funny. How like,
Well, hey, dude, I think at this point we can argue Grogu has had more diverse training than any of the main Force users in Star Wars.
definitely.
We've seen that motherfucker go through more training than Luke Skywalker and Rey.
I
Get
also
some.
like how
Bring it. Who wants
yeah.
to challenge that? Bring it.
The one thing I do like about Grogu and just his species as a whole is like they can learn to do like backflips in the Force before they learn how to talk.
Yeah, and walk
So,
properly. Well,
I'm
you
trying
did,
to
I mean,
figure
Luke
out,
did
like,
have
what
that
is
line.
his talk timeline.
Yeah, Luke did have the line. Like, I think he's just remembering more than I'm actually teaching him. So, and then there's stuff I want to dig in on that. But yeah, and I'm with you, man. I honestly thought it was some of the best Star Wars content of all time. It elicited reactions out of me that were very similar to Mandalorian season 2 episode 8, that final scene. We all know what we're talking about. But I got that like that just super excited. Oh my God, I can feel it in my soul reactions. And I marked down 4 of them, 4 moments, you know, the first one, just seeing R2's antenna instantly, just like Mando season 2 episode 8 when R2 rolls in. There's something about that fucking droid that gets me. And it isn't like, oh, it's R2. It's like, oh, there he is. It's R2. Oh my God, I love it. And then you know, seeing Grogu on the hill from Mando's perspective and being a parent myself, and that had a wave of emotion sucked out of me. The Luke's theme piping up when he climbs the bamboos and he's explaining to Grogu that, like, look, this is balance. I mean, his theme is an instant tug on my heartstrings type of Star Wars musical theme. And then I think my final, just like, I'm melting inside because I'm a big sappy old Star Wars fan. But when he breaks out that little chainmail shirt, I was like, like, look at that.
Yeah.
Grogu.
I did not have any emotional moments with this episode.
No, it hit me. And I think a lot of it is parental based and having a little one. And, you know, when Din makes the choice to leave, you know, they don't tell Grogu, but he sees that ship leaving and he's just reaching out like, you know, I mean, that's stuff. I don't know. That shit fucks me up as a dad. But yeah, it was fantastic. Like, and again, that's why we kind of started with, it's like, what else do you want? Like, can we ever just get through this and kind of just smile and be like, and look at each other like, wow, what a time to be alive. What a time to be. I remember when the movies were being made, the prequel. I mean, I used to like pray, whatever the hell that is, like, please just let me live to see the next movie. Just let me live to see the next movie. I did it with The Lord of the Rings too. I gotta see it. Please let me live. And now we're getting stuff like this. I mean, it's unbelievable. The content that Filoni through Favreau's creation is delivering to Star Wars fans. So it was a winner from top to bottom. If I need the bitch to be a Star Wars fan, and I brought this up in the Discord, just because, you know, they ask, but I thought the one thing that was slightly off, nothing that I would take time to point out on my social feeds, I thought Cad's hat brim little too tight, not quite brimmy enough. And the thing I said earlier, there are some parts where Luke is talking and it sounds like he is in a remote location delivering the dialogue. But I have other things to say on CG Luke, which was vastly improved. But I think I want to return to something Nick said a few shows ago that I think is more poignant now than ever when it comes to our classic characters, the OT characters, and their respective actors. But we'll get into that throughout the breakdown. So, all right. So there's our general thoughts of the episode. Now it is time to pop open its hood and dig around for all the goodness you may have missed or need reminded of. So up first, starting, what the hell happened here? What did I do? It's not really going to matter. But there. It must be doing the photo grid differently these days, I guess. Who cares? All right, so if you're new here, we typically go through our eggs, references, and cameos breakdown first. Then we will go through the key moments to make sure that everyone is on the same page and ready for what is to come. So coming up first, you know what? I was glad to see Cobb Vanth returning, and I liked how he kind of had the cold open for the show. So we had that, and if you really want a reference, he's also in a field of moisture evaporators, right? What farmers would use on the sands of Tatooine to suck liquids. I don't know if it was sucking it out of the ground, out of the air, who the fuck knows, but they're moisture evaporators. Obviously, seeing R2 show up, a thing of beauty. We still don't know the planet, but at this point in time, based on research, other fan speculation, this is definitely the same planet that his academy is on, that we see burned down in Tross. And I don't believe they have named that anywhere. I don't think it's on the databanks of StarWars.com or in the Wikipedia. But yeah, we are here. This is definitely that planet. It just hasn't been fully deforested yet from Luke's androids that at one point in time are essentially going to tear down every living thing to build his academy. It seems very anti-force, but I guess if you need some rock structures, you got to have ground cleared. So all those beautiful bamboo trees in the jungle, all that shit's getting razed for Luke's academy, which ends up being a fucking disaster. So shame on him. The building of Luke's temple. You know, I think we could argue that this is the main structure we see, and things just kind of get added to it. Down the hill are where all the living quarters were at, but up on the hill when we saw it burning in, I believe, the TLJ flashbacks, I think this is the beginning of that structure. Yep. It is not Agent Kloss. Agent Kloss is where the resistance was holed up in The Rise of Skywalker. And it's also, I believe, where Luke was training Leia in that flashback. Unless it's changed since last Wednesday, this planet that Mando goes to has not been identified. I saw some site running with "This is Yavin 4," and I'm like, huh?
It is not yet.
No, I don't think so. All right, so the next moment, that was a bit of a reference. And hear me out on this, Nick. I don't know if you buy my line on this, but when Luke does the whole, Grogu's fucking around, not paying attention, much like Luke used to be when he was being trained by Yoda, and Grogu's trying to lift a frog, right? He's trying to eat it because he's a little, he gets the munchies. Luke, seeing this, then raises every frog out of the pond. So to me, I found that it was kind of a mirror of Yoda trying to wow and impress and show Luke what he could do if he focused when he raised his X-Wing out of the swamp. This was Luke's way of showing a very, very tiny little organism. So you got to think scale here is a little different, that look what I can do with the Force if I focus. So I kind of like how I believe Luke was mirroring that lesson that Yoda did for him when a little guy raised a starship out of a swamp, when Luke wasn't quite fully engaged in the training, as Grogu clearly was not throughout. I mean, he's got shit on his mind, just like Luke did, but we'll get to that. Luke has become a fucking hypocrite with a capital H, and I think we need to dive into that a little bit later. All right, the next moment, we get a line that Yoda fed to Luke, the whole size matters not. That was during their little walk where he was giving him Force assist. I love that little... I'm guessing Dave was the one like, no, this is what we'll do when they're walking. Luke will just casually Force assist him a few steps forward so they can kind of stay on the same cadence.
That was fun to see.
Yeah.
You're like, look, little guy, I'm not going to walk that slow. I appreciate that you have tiny legs, but guess what?
You're gonna, come on. I wish I could do that with my cats. I mean, hell, we all wish we had the Force and could move shit. So that's a stupid example. All right, so up next, we get the whole we get Order 66 through Grogu's perspective, which was a fucking treat. All right, just a visual treat, a narrative treat, and at this point, I think it's pretty clear that we are going to get some sort of payoff here. If he's showing this in Grogu from his perspective in his prom, watching the 501 storm through the halls, blowing people away, we're gonna see who saved them. And knowing that he was there for Order 66, I think it eliminates a lot of options that we may have floated before. I mean, we can now effectively say the Bad Batch had no hand in rescuing Grogu because those motherfuckers were on a planet. Watching Order 66 play out with Deepa Billaba and Caleb Doom. So
the only way that could possibly happen if it was like a post capture rescue, like the Empire already has him and then they go in to try to rescue him. But even if that happened, then you would have to get back to the point to where he's like somehow in the hands of whoever had him before, the fucking like he's in the hands of the client before, like, I don't know, like you would have to take too many steps to get, like, he's rescued and then he's not rescued again. And then fucking Din has to get him. And it gets a little complicated.
To me, I think we're going to see him pulled out of Order 66. Like, I think he's going to get directly rescued as the temple is being raised by Lord Vader and his clones. I, like many people, and it's hard not to, but when you see the middle Jedi defending Grogu, it was hard not to draw a line to Nick Gallard's Sindralig. Now, he can't be Sin. I know there's other sites that have tried to justify, like, well, you didn't really see Lord Vader kill him in that holotape. I'm like, what do you mean? He like fucking slashes him up and down. I really don't think this was Sin. It would have been a nice touch. It would have been a nice through line, connective tissue to Revenge of the Sith. But at this point, good luck figuring out who these Jedi are. I'm not that big of a nerd. All right. I'm not going to look at the lightsaber hilts, and to me, they're just fucking random Jedi, like all those assholes that showed up to the Geonosian arena. There was something in here that made its way, and I'll bring it up because I didn't cover it in the breakdown, which, hey, I'd love for everyone to check out my breakdowns of the episodes, which usually come out a few hours after the episode airs on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Big thanks to the diehards, the Discorders, for getting out there and reminding people and sharing it on their personal socials. It actually worked. We added a bunch of new subs, and this particular breakdown, I think, tripled what the other ones were getting. So see, if you all that love our content tell other people that you love it and it's worth their time, sometimes they listen. And we even got like some people that I wouldn't consider super fans saying like, hey, check this out. This guy isn't an asshole like everyone else just bitching and moaning. He actually brings up good points that isn't just whining nonstop. So appreciate everyone that did that. We need more of it. But anyways, Nick, for the diehards out there that really analyze this Order 66 vision, they did find some imagery in this particular hallway that led them to think that there could be a tie to Barriss Offee in this moment. And she could be the potential savior of Grogu, even though if we catch everyone up to what Barriss Offee was doing at this point in time, she should be in fucking jail. So while I'm not going to disagree that the symbol that showed up in this hallway could be related to her people, like her and Luminara, I forget what the M something, I forget, their Miriand or Miralins or some shit.
Mirilan.
Yeah, something like
Miralian, something like that. Mirilan, something like that.
So while I'll agree the crest definitely has hints of the Jedi Order and their species of people, I find it hard to believe that in the Jedi Temple they would be honoring a character like Barriss, who turned on the Jedi, framed Ahsoka Tano, got herself thrown in jail, would be
also she was like a kid.
Yeah, would be
So, like,
honoring
there would
her
be no
in
reason
particular.
to honor her.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, there's controversy there because I guess Wikipedia changed it from Barriss Offee's crest to an unidentified crest, and people were calling foul on that. Who knows? Either way, hey, good to the Eagle Eye people that found the crest. Like, no doubt, it definitely was tied to something that has been seen around Luminara and Barriss before. But if you think about Barriss' situation, it to me, it's hard to make the tie that they would still be honoring her in the temple at this point in time, or that she would even be mixed up in this scenario, because she should be locked up. But I'm also going to say it would be interesting for a character like her to be the one that gets this little Force user out. There's a lot of intrigue behind that. Because I don't think she was full Sith. She was just fully disillusioned with the Jedi Order. Like, fuck you guys. Yeah. You're the ones that are making this war go down. You've ruined my life. I hate you. I want to go home. So,
yeah. I mean, what's really going to be interesting, and this is going to sound funny, is literally going to be the chain of custody of Grogu.
Yeah.
Like he goes from this, like from being captured in the Jedi Temple, or maybe he doesn't get captured. Maybe, you know, like a Jedi runs up behind all these 501st people who just killed all the other Jedi and kills them all and then saves them and runs away. But like ultimately, like seeing, you know, where he went from in that scene, next, then to then.
Yeah, I mean, when we meet him, he's in a fucking garage of like a Nikto gang, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, how the hell does he end up there? I mean, you could also argue, like, I don't want to get too deep into this yet. We can save it for key moments, but you could argue the 501 gets him out at the behest of Emperor Palpatine.
That's very possible.
It's being developed in the Bad Batch, which was shortly after this moment, that he's getting already mixed up into some of the arcane shit with, you know, cloning and locking up Nala Se and that, you know, the Wayland Mountain. So, I mean, if he knew that we had a Yoda baby in there, there's a good chance he'd be like, you know what? Why snag that little fucker for me? I bet he's loaded with Force juice that I could use for experiments. So, I mean, for all we know, that it ends with the 501 approaching him. You're like, oh shit, how's he going to get out of this? To, hey, Lord Vader, we found the target. And they just snag him and take him away, like Nick said. And then he eventually gets broken out of there by someone else. And ultimately, 30 years down the road, he ends up in someone's shed in the Mandalorian and a robot find him. So, yeah.
His journey is definitely going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, so but as you said, based on this episode, and the way the finale goes, we should have a clear direction of where the Mandoverse goes from here. Because I'll admit it. I'm surprised Grogu was injected back into everything this quickly, but I'm also not, because look at what he generates. Look at the content he provides, the what ifs, the speculations, the ties to the prequel era. So he is a very potent character from a storytelling perspective. The other thing they didn't like, Nick, the clones' knee pads were fucked up or something like that. Like their knee pads weren't right.
Fucking God. Like all these fucking, I don't know.
Who cares? I mean, if that's...
I'm not a mean person, so I'm not going to say anything. Like I'm really like, I'm a kind-hearted individual. Yes. So I am no longer, I'm not going to say anything about the people who notice shit like that. Or not even, like, if you notice it, it's different. If you bring it up in like a disparaging context to show that like the people who make the show don't know what they're doing, then you should seek professional help.
It is a fine line. Like some of them I think critique because they're honestly interested in the intricacies of armor and whatnot, and they point out examples. But some of it is like, I mean, well, just the nature of critiquing what the paid artists and Dave signed. That's the thing that gets me. Like, you know, paid artists, schmade schmartist. Dave Filoni helped write this episode, directed it, and checked every last sign-off box. If he's okay with it, he's got enough grace with me for decades. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's different if you're like, oh, hey, I noticed the knee pads are different. What led to that creative decision versus, oh, the knee pads are different. Look at these and idiots.
Yeah,
they don't know anything. Like there's a very different connotation to those two ways of viewing the same piece of content.
Right. It's just, and this is, I don't know if it's my Star Wars narcissism or me just being ignorant to how other people process Star Wars, but I never go into Star Wars with an angle to pick apart shit outside of like glaring narrative issues. Like I think Props brought up, continuity. Sure, continuity is something that I would critique because it affects story. Now, is it continuity in a character's skin color? Who gives a shit? I'm talking about like continuity. Hey, Sindraleg somehow came back to life after getting slashed by Anakin and helped protect Grogu. I don't think that was him, but I understand why a lot of people thought, because I did. I mean, as soon as I saw that scene, I was like, fuck, that's Gallard. But I'm like, that can't be because we see him get slashed up in the holo recordings in Rots. Anyways, back to the breakdown. So one of the best lines, and really Ahsoka to me was a surprise. It was just like a cherry on top. I think we all had an idea that we were going to see Grogu and Luke based on how episode 5 went, and he pretty much left on a hard, I'm going to go check on the little guy before you can continue your war. So we knew it was coming. But having her pop up and then drop the line, I'm a friend of the family, just choice Filoni shit right there. Like, that's why he is the guy, okay? Beautiful stuff, simple dialogue, probably took a second to write, but it was amazing.
Perfect.
All right. Next, we get, I think, for the first time in the Mandoverse, a mention of a Padawan. When Grogu, from the Mandalorian perspective, is talking about, Din, from the Mando perspective, is talking about Grogu as a foundling, but Ahsoka presents the opposite, like, well, is he not a Padawan now? So we got the old Padawan drop in the Mandoverse. I love this one. I mean, again, there's a lot of mirrored moments in this episode to Luke's training in Empire. But you gotta love that he still has his blue backpack and he has no qualms throwing these little green things in there and taking them for a run. Hell, even the trail run itself was very similar to what we saw Luke doing on Dagobah, complete with a front flip with the dude on your back, a little puppet on your back flopping around, but it was great. Climbing the trees, all that fun stuff. I mean, he was essentially putting Grogu through what Yoda put him through early on Dagobah. It's like, this is Jedi 101. This is the stuff we have to do. We have to learn how to jump and shit like that first, I guess. Yeah. Even though everything in the Jedi way is all about kind of your mind and how you interpret the outside world and objects and attachment. No, when you're becoming a Jedi, you got to learn how to jump and run first and balance.
Yeah. Build your physical skills so you can be ready in case a Sith shows up to chop your head off.
We got another Luke again learning from Grandmaster Yoda when the little guy does that little jump, like I love it. It's like, he got like 2 centimeters off the ground, and Luke gives him, and it's a little reverse of what Yoda says, but it's the same mantra. He says, "Don't try, do." So very similar to the lesson he got from Yoda: do or do not. There is no try. Beautiful stuff. Once again, Sir Dave. Then we got, not only did we get looks at how Yoda trained Luke, and now Luke's doing it to Grogu, but we also got to look at how Obi-Wan first trained Luke, and now Luke's doing it to Grogu, complete with letting this poor little 50-year-old get zapped to kind of get him ready and focused to train with a training remote. And Dave's like, nah, fuck him up. He said, like, he shot him and he goes flying. Like, he's like, ping! And he just jumped right off the ground. He was out of there. But hey, just like Luke did when he was wearing the blinders, it focused him and he figured it out after that. So he was doing his Yoda spins and gymnastics shortly after getting a little zap from a training remote. Okay, so getting off of the Luke stuff, back to Tatooine. Yes, we did return to Tatooine, even though Boba was still doing his best episode 5 impression, which is being in the background and saying nothing. So for all of you that love Boba from the OT era, you're getting your hero. You are literally
peak Boba right now. These last 2 episodes.
This is the guy. Like, that's the Boba you all have been trying to tell me is this big badass. That's who he was in the original trilogy, and now they've made him that in the Book of Boba. But anyways, when Din shows up at his new pad, we can see a bunch of the skiffs that Jabba used to take out when he'd bring out the sail barge for a little bit of partying on the Dune Sea. So there's a bunch of skiffs in the garage there to check out. This could have been one of my favorite parts. And it's just like, again, I mean, whose idea? Was this John or was this Dave? Probably Dave. But as I said in my breakdown, you've got to love that these hillbilly-ass Jawas went to the crate dragon that they killed in season 2 and have strapped it to their crawler like a hood ornament. It was, yeah. That's the little stuff that gets me excited about Star Wars. I mean, yeah, the Ahsoka, the Luke, the training, that's all great. But it's moments like this, I'm like, yeah, that's why I love this fucking franchise. I mean, look at it's like they even knew it was Mando somehow, because they're almost like taunting him. He's like, they're like, hey. They're probably like, hey, track that thing, find out where it lands so we can rob it. Yeah, we can put it up on some cinder blocks and get those parts that we sold to that idiot. Yeah, so that's right. I mean, these probably were the Jedi that were out scavenging for him. And remember, he paid them money, and Pelly's like, don't do that. They'll get spoiled. So, but I don't know. It was a great visual.
The amount of effort it probably took these Jawas to get this big ass fucking thing on top of their sandcrawler is astronomical.
It's fantastic.
How the fuck did they get that up there? That's insane.
Like, I mean, do you think they're just gonna roll like that's their hood ornament, or do you think they're gonna try to hawk it to somebody as like a decoration for their front yard?
I think if somebody offered them money, like if like a rich Tatooine native or something like that came up to him and was like, I'll give you 50,000 credits for the crate dragon head, they would definitely sell it. But I don't know if it's on the market per se.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Like this sandcrawler, I'm surprised. It's probably because the crate dragon skull is hard to replicate, but I'm surprised we didn't get any recreations with this in the toy photography space, because it's just a funny visual, that sandcrawler with the little dudes on the top and that huge ass skull. But really, the other point about this, Nick, it's a very tiny detail that most fans were like, oh, whatever, that looked funny. But it's Dave showing the connective tissue between The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and reaffirming that, yeah, this is the same universe. It is shared. You're going to see stuff that happened in one series show up in other series. Even it's just a casual crate dragon skull on a sandcrawler. Or, I don't know if people noticed, in Freetown's bar now, they brought in the motherfucking rib cage as like some IKEA furniture. So it's little throwaway stuff, but it's beautiful because it shows how everything is connected. What happens in one series, in one episode, may casually show up as set dressing in a whole other series. And I love that fucking shit. Love it. Yeah, so we got that. Like I said, the deputy actor, that's JJ Dashnall, who is the stunt coordinator. So there you go. There's a cameo, I guess. Mos Pelgos has been rebranded as Freetown, which is a nod to the Aftermath novels, as the city did flop back and forth between names there too. So there's another little nod. And I guess, what's his name? Your buddy, is it Chuck Wendig? Is he the writer of the Aftermath series? Does that sound right?
Yeah. He was. I know that Star Wars fired him for something. Yeah.
Apparently he's out on socials kind of complaining that he doesn't get any credit for the creation of Cobb Vanth, which, I guess it would depend on his whatever deal he signed with Lucasfilm, but I guess you could say, unless someone gave him the note, that he is the creator of the character, and he has not been mentioned in this series yet for the character. I mean, but I think everything falls under, like, how they say,
it's
hey,
under Lucas,
right? Yeah,
Lucas
that's what I mean. Like, they
like,
kind of use that as like based on stories from George Lucas. I think that's like the catch-all.
Yeah. So I mean, you're not going to get individual. Like, what do they? So what? Like in every episode that he's in, it's supposed to have a specific title card that says Cobb Vanth created by Chuck Wendig. Like, I don't understand.
I think that's what he wants. Yeah.
You signed a contract with Lucasfilm Publishing or whatever it's called at the time. So like whatever you wrote is under the ownership of the Lucasfilm Publishing Group. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know.
What's supposed to happen?
I get it. I mean, I would probably be like Chuck too, because I mean, you know, he probably wrote the books. I think they had a little bit of success, but their books, people forgot about them at this point. Now you have the Mandoverse
also, you got
shows
fired,
up,
dude.
Yeah, like Mandoverse shows up, and they're like, "Yeah, Cobb Vanth is fucking pretty cool," and he's like, "Hey, I made him. Why didn't you guys pay attention to me when I made him?" It's like, well, because we had to read. That's why, Chuck.
Yeah, it's like the people who read your books knew who he was, and the people who didn't. So like, I don't know what you want. Like,
yeah, I don't know about you, but Cobb Vanth is slowly becoming a favorite, like, scoundrel type of character for me.
I do like him. Yeah,
and I think
Timothy Oliphant was the perfect person.
He really is.
Yeah.
Like that opening scene. I mean, that's like full on Oliphant from Deadwood or whatever he was in.
Justified and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was. I guess the only here I go nitpicking. But it seems like they give him too much fabric for his frame, right? He's a tall, skinny guy. It's like you can maybe cut down on the neck scarf a bit so he doesn't look like he's swimming in his clothes. But
clothes are pretty loose, definitely. That's one thing I noticed. But I also think I'd have to go back and watch his initial episode, but it looks like he lost a lot of weight, and that just may be like maybe Timothy Oliphant just lost a lot of weight.
He probably had another role or was doing something, but either way, he's great. He's fantastic, and we'll get into it in the key moments, but he's definitely coming back. Props. I just clarified. Here I go, nitpicking. But did I come in? Go to my breakdown or anything you've heard from me. Did it start with Cobb Vanth looks fucking stupid? Cad Bane looks fucking stupid. There's a difference between educated discourse and nitpicking and just being a jerk off. All right, thank you.
That's what I was saying earlier in the show. It's how you present your opinions, or it's how you present your findings that puts you in a position of whether you're a keen-eyed fan or you're a little
just angry. Yeah, just fucking angry about something. And that's I still draw it all back. These people that get so upset at Star Wars, they've got something going on in their lives. So we should all follow Nick's mantra and just be a nice person. Just let them get angry, because trust me, that ire is not all from Cad Bane not being the right shade of blue. Like they've got some fucking issues with themselves, with their family, something. I mean, I am an angry person. I wake up pissed off. There's an imbalance up there in the head. The chemicals aren't right. I probably should be on Lexapro. All right. And the other thing, when it comes to the Star Wars Time show, you all know my narcissism. Whatever I say on this show is gospel. It's right. It's correct. So how dare you question me? Okay. So the big one here, the big reference, cameo, egg, whatever you want to call it. Cad motherfucking Bane. All right. Shitty skin color, flat nose, small hat, doesn't matter. He's here. He's in live action. And yes, back in June on the Star Wars Time show with our friend 1/6 Shooter, myself, my co-host Nick, and Trevor laid down the speculation based on a Bad Batch episode that we could one day see live action Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett. The only thing I fucked up is I said it would be in a flashback. So there you go. Another speculation win for the SWTS. It was a 3-man effort. And yes, I did spend time on Friday to look through our archive, find the clip, record it on my phone like an asshole from the computer screen, and upload it to the socials. Just to let everyone know, like, hey, look, we know our stuff too. Hey, we're getting attacked. We're getting attacked. Yeah, go Tones, go. Go Tones, go. Look at that. These goddamn commies coming into the live stream. Tone swooping in with his blue wrench lightsaber. He's like, zing, 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 removing them. That a boy.
The hero that we need.
All right, Tones. But yeah, I mean, this was great. You gotta love that they brought Corey Burton back to do the voice. I just thought it was fantastic. I mean, it was vintage Cad Bane. That's how the dude rolls. He is a man of mystery. He's got the duster, the hat, just rolls out of the horizon. Right after Din leaves, by the way. Do you think like he was waiting for that on purpose? I do.
Yeah, he's like, maybe I can take this guy.
Yeah.
Don't know if I can take this guy.
Yeah, because he even
don't know.
It's interesting because based on what Cad says to Cobb, he at least knew at one point in time that Cobb Vanth was rolling around in Beskar armor because he's like, you should have kept your armor. So that's interesting too. Like, I don't know. Do we get more of what Cad's been up to in the Mandoverse moving forward? I hope so. There's a chance this could be a 2-episode affair for him too, depending on how they choose to do things next week. But we'll get into that during the key moments breakdown because there's a lot of key moment shit too. Really kind of dissect from this episode that is, as Nick said at the beginning of the show, will reshape or at least give us a clear direction as to where the Mandoverse is going after tomorrow's drop. But there he is, light blue skin and smashed nose and all, but still looking great. He's got those fucked up teeth. But he's intimidating. You could see Cobb was like, oh shit. I mean, Cobb...
Yeah.
He still had a little bit of his built-in arrogance when he was talking to him, but he was scared when he saw that dude on the horizon. And, you know, especially when he saw him flip his coat back and say, you should have kept your armor, because he knew it was what was about to go down. And then he had that jittery idiot up there. Like, I mean, the deputy the whole time's like shaking and twitching. Is like, I'm surprised Cad let him go that long before he filled him with blaster holes. I would have shot his ass.
I would have been like,
yeah,
I kill him.
As Cobb, Nick just turns around and goes, shut the fuck up, I'm talking here.
I mean, the scene was perfect. The scene was perfect. And I mean, like, if you're going to let like a fucking hexadecimal code color like bother you that much, then God, it must suck to be you.
Yeah. So it was
good,
good,
man. Like I was watching that scene and I was like, dude, this is the perfect way to introduce Cad Bane into live action Mando.
You knew something fucked up was happening, right? Because
I mean,
like the way they
see the horizon.
Yeah, they focus on the wind chimes first. Like you could, like, Cobb had a feeling as soon as Mando pulls away and he's telling the people that, hey, go round the people up because we're pretty much going to have to go to war. Because, by the way, they are running spice through here, and I just shot up a few guys, so we're fucked either way. We got to fight. But once he sends that guy in the weak way, he looks up at a wind chime, and it's like slowly going, like you're getting that the Western type of cinema at that point. And then it pans to the horizon, and fans, at least fans that have, gone through the Clone Wars and Bad Batch, as soon as you see the figure, you're like, oh shit.
There he is.
They did it. They did it. Thank you. And then he shows up, and just like Cad always does, he always talks with his head tilted first to keep his, full face out of view. And then he lifts up and you see those eyes and you're like, he didn't even have to tell his name. We all knew it. Cobb probably knew it through legend. And that's why he knew he was fucked. So beautiful stuff there. And then just to round out the references and eggs and cameos, we learned that Luke snagged one of Yoda's lightsabers and kept it. And this is another one, people. Listen, Yoda died at 900 years of age. Yes, I know he lost a lightsaber in the Senate room in Revenge of the Sith. Yes, I know in the comics that, he had Mas Amedda making a spectacle of it. But you can't tell me that Yoda, in his centuries of life, didn't forge another lightsaber or two. All right? So it's okay. This type of stuff can happen.
Also, like, if it was it could have been found. Like, the Skywalker family blade was found. Why can't Yoda's lightsaber be found? I mean, just because he literally just drops it inside of a building doesn't mean it's gone forever.
Well, so. the point that they were making in the comics, Nick, Mas Amedda recovers the lightsaber from the Senate room and like throws it in a fire to make like a point, like, we got Yoda, we got Yoda's lightsaber.
Would that even do anything to a lightsaber? Like throwing it in a fire?
Yeah, who knows?
It literally has a plasma blade coming out of it. A fire's not going to do shit to it.
I don't know. Maybe it'd melt the metal away and the crystal would still be there, but the hilt might take a hit. It's not Beskar after all, Nick, right? It's not heavy. It's not a. Oh, but for all you people that were upset at Nick, and Nick, you actually got some randoms on YouTube like, who the fuck podcast is this if you don't know why the Darksaber is heavy? I was like, chill the fuck out. But I sent Nick a refresher on Kanan's lesson on why
it's the weak-minded little bitches think it's heavy. Just like weak-minded little bitches think everything is heavy. Like, that's it. It's mental. It's a mental thing. It's not heavy. Your mind is heavy.
There you go.
The physical blade itself is not heavy.
But either way,
you're literally holding it in your hand like this when the blade's not lit, so it's not heavy.
Yeah,
you're a weak-minded little person.
Yeah, and Kanan's point was like, listen, the Darksaber, all your energy runs through it. So like Nick is saying, if your mental energy's fucked up, it's gonna weigh you down. All right. But yeah, we shouldn't be surprised that Yoda had an additional lightsaber, and now Luke had it after he clearly raided his hovel after he died. He's like, hey, fuck it, this guy disappeared. Let me see if I can steal some shit and throw it in my box. But yeah, he robbed Yoda's dead ass at the end of Return of the Jedi. You heard it here first.
Amen.
All right, let's get into the breakdown. I got to figure out what the hell happened to the grid system. I feel like I updated something and it completely broke the site, but who cares? All right, so the key moments, lots of good stuff, and then I also have some notes if we don't touch on these things for the end, but we continue. So the key moments, we go over moments that might have just been great to see, but usually probably have an impact on the immediate story and beyond, or getting like some of the past fleshed out. So we kind of talked about this. We are seeing these androids constructing Luke's Jedi Academy that we ultimately see get raised in the sequel trilogy. And it does appear that they are constructing the main temple, the one that you can see on a slight hill when Luke's down in the rubble after, Ben sucks the shed down on top of him. So neat stuff, right? I mean, this is world building, my friends. This is what it looks like. You might get a look at something in the future. Now you're getting to see where it came from. I am a fan of that type of stuff. I dig it. So it's nice symbolism, and again, a through line connections to the sequel trilogy in Old Man Angry Luke. The whole Grogu and his frog thing, that was a nice callback to the character. We know he's obsessed with eating and frogs in general. And then Luke's force walk, that stuff was all neat. Nothing really too deep to go into there. But back to the Jedi Temple, and something I want to prose to the live streamers here and to my friend Nick. Did anyone else find it interesting that when Master Luke said, Grogu, do you want me to help you remember your home? His memory takes him right to the Jedi Temple. Is that intriguing to anyone else and what that could imply?
No.
I mean, think about it. He's probably 20 years old during the prequels, and he's asked to remember his home. He goes back to the temple. Are we just saying he was so young that he only remembers the temple as his home, or was the temple his home?
I mean, I think it's very possible that like memory formation, just like in humans, would be the same for that species. Where like if you were born in like a human example, like if you were born in Pittsburgh, but you only lived there until you were 1. And then you moved to wherever. You moved to New Orleans. Somebody asks you where your home is. You're going to say New Orleans, not Pittsburgh.
I don't know. I'm not saying anything here, but to me, I think there could be something behind that. You may ultimately find Mr. No Attachments Nothing might have had himself a kid. I'm talking about the man himself. Like, unless Dave and John plan to eventually name Yoda's species and give them a home world, the fact that he's like, hey, tell me about your home. He goes to the temple. The only other species we've known of Grogu's are Jedis in that temple. could that imply, now this is me just throwing fucking darts, people. Could that imply that is indeed his home? He was born there and kept a secret because, hey, you can't be the Grandmaster telling everyone else not to have attachments, and you're shitting out little force-powered kids yourself. So I'm not saying that may be it. I just thought it was interesting that, like, hey, take me to your home. And I know, yes, Jedi would try to take prospective Force users young, but I can't remember them taking them as like newborn babies. It was usually they were, 2-ish, 3-ish. I think that's what Ahsoka was, Obi-Wan Kenobi, so on and so forth. I don't know. I just like it could be nothing, but I wrote that down on my notes when I was going through it, so I wanted to throw it out there. It seems everyone else thinks I'm an asswipe, so I'll take that as a we don't.
I mean, you're more than likely right, honestly, because it's the easiest way to explain away his existence. Because my first thought was not like,
yeah,
this is where you were created.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, unless they do have plans to finally, I mean, George himself didn't give Yoda a species or a homeworld. It's like this big mystery. So do they want to keep that going? Or are they going to...
And it's also like you would imagine that if there was like a Yoda homeworld, that like Yoda himself would be farming that shit out for potential Jedis like all the time.
Yeah. Because
like,
they live for almost a century and they seem to have a natural proclivity.
Almost a millennium.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. 1,000 years. They live multiple centuries. I don't know. Let's not put too much weight on it, but think about it. It was interesting. Plus, when he was having that vision, we got the same presentation that we got during Anakin's vision. Did you notice that? Like the kind of like the brown and green haze around Grogu seeing things. So I don't know. It just stood out to me. Hey, take me to your home, and we go right to the motherfucking Jedi Temple. And I get it. Like, listen, and this is just something I'm creating here for my own head, but I think we can equate a decade in Grogu's time to about a 10-year-old Grogu is about a 1-year-old humanoid. A 20-year-old Grogu might be like a 2-year-old. He's 50, so he's about 5. He doesn't quite know he knows how to talk, just not verbally. He clearly can communicate through the Force, through his mind, but he doesn't like speaking outside of coos and ka's.
Yeah.
So
that kind of tracks.
Who knows? Interesting stuff. Again, this is why this stuff is fun. Not to sit there and worry about the color of certain aliens. This is the stuff I like to dig into. All right, so poor Din. And this is a key moment. It reflects on this character. That's the wrong way to say it. It reflects on Din's character. I mean, this guy, even after being expelled from the Creed, he's no longer a Mandalorian. But loyalty and solidarity are two key tent poles in his character, his being, who he wants to be. You could see through that fucking mask how much it was killing him to not be able to just run up there and see his little buddy.
Yeah.
But through some reasoning, through Ahsoka and thinking and kind of putting his desires to the back burner, like parents have to do a lot of the time, he comes to the realization, like, you know what? She's probably right. I came all this way. My head's all fucked up because of this little guy, but she kind of has a point. And he's also, again, I mean, I think that's a bit of his warrior culture too. Like, I don't want to mess with the process. Like, these Jedi, they supposedly know what they're doing, even though clearly Luke's already being an asswipe with the way he wants to train Grogu with the choice. But Mando clearly respects them, and he's finally he's like, all right, fuck it. Can you at least give him the gift? And Tones is right. Din showed more restraint than Luke fucking Skywalker has shown up until this point in time. Luke has always done what he wanted to do. Not what was the best for the Jedi Order or prolonging the Jedi Order or his training. Luke would do what he wanted to do. not what was best for the moment, what he wanted to do. He wanted to go save his friends, and all he did was get them fucked up, right? He wanted to do that. Din, on the other hand, was like, you know what? Fuck what I want to do. I'm going to do what's best for this little dude. So that's huge. It goes to show how much he cares about Grogu and why Grogu's probably going to make the choice we all think he's going to make. And the goodbye, like I said, Nick, I don't know, maybe one day if you spit out some little humans yourself, it might tug on the heartstrings a little bit, but that was just rough. Like Din making that choice, seeing him fly away, and then the little guy reaching out like, no, I know, I'm pretty sure I know who's in that motherfucking ship. I can feel him. You know he can sense when Din is around. Come on. Beautiful moments there. Another moment that was interesting, and I said this earlier, but when Luke's talking to Ahsoka and she's like, hey, you're doing good with him. And he's like, you know what? I actually think he's remembering more than I'm actually teaching him. So is this a case of when Grogu was taken, did someone help mind wipe him or help him suppress his abilities? Or is this something like we've seen Luke do himself, something Grogu either subconsciously out of fear of being killed kind of blocked his force powers in his previous training? Or is he maybe kind of coming out of a haze after working with the Jedi again and remembering like, oh yeah, I've heard these lessons before. This is why I can do my Yoda gymnastics after one laser bolt. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I kind of track with that one. That is, I mean, it has been a long time, and essentially he has been. I mean, we don't know what the 30 years, the lost 30 years were for him. He could have, very well been. We know he was experimented on. We know that they probably were subjecting him to a lot of different tests and experimentation, stuff like that. Probably had his power suppressed because of everything that they were doing to him. And then now he's finally exposed to somebody else who uses the Force, and that can like reignite that. Yeah, that in him. I
guess it's more equivalent to the riding your bike, riding a bike expression versus what Luke did, where he purposely cut his connection to the Force. It's almost like Grogu got Force amnesia. Like the shit was so traumatic that he went through from Order 66 up until Din sort of rescuing him and then really rescuing him, that he just is like I said, subconsciously his system just blocked it all out. Like a lot of kids will do with trauma. I mean, kids that go through horrific shit like being, raped by family members or, diddled by uncles. The brain is built in a way to fucking block that shit out so you don't completely ruin yourself as a little person. And that could be something similar that we're dealing with here. And it's like, oh, I've done this before. I know how to jump. I know how to reach out. I know how to lift stuff. I don't know, it was an interesting line. Like, because you got to, he was 20-ish at the time of the prequels. Who knows how long he was at the temple? He could have had 10 years of training up until that point. So, like I said, there's just little things that maybe we shouldn't sleep on here. All right, so let's be real. Ahsoka Tano and Luke Skywalker together, they didn't have to say lines, and this is already an iconic Star Wars moment. For fans of the animated wing of Star Wars, probably much more so than fans of just the Mandoverse. We watched Ahsoka as a character from, a little snips in the Clone Wars movie all the way to an unaligned Force user by the end of the Clone Wars who captured Maul on her own, almost had him, lost him, survived Order 66 on a fucking Star Cruiser full of clones. She just has such a rich Star Wars history that is also directly tied to the Skywalker family. So seeing these two together, who cares about the lines they said to each other just in this episode? What I was thinking about, like, all right, these two have met before. What the fuck have they talked about? What stories has she told Luke about his dad? Yeah. What how did Luke explain the redemption of Anakin to Ahsoka? Those are the conversations as a fan. I was just sitting there like with a big dopey smile on my face. Like, can you imagine what these two have said before? Because this clearly wasn't their first meeting.
No. It seems like she may have been there for a little bit.
She was hanging out because, I mean, he says another, and this was kind of a nod to his father in The Phantom Menace, will I ever see you again? And she's like, hey, you never know. And we know because she's getting her own series, which means she's going to be, her series is going to be kicking up other narrative tentpoles for the Mandoverse that may play out in Mandalorian itself, or if Book of Boba continues beyond season 1. So it was just, like I said, it wasn't so much what they were saying in these scenes together. I mean, yeah, you're so much like your father, wonderful stuff. But it was just thinking as a fan, like, what have these two discussed together? Because it's some heavy shit if you think about it. I mean,
there's a lot to talk about.
Ahsoka knew his father at his best and his ultimate worst. Luke has only known his dad at his worst in a quick redemption moment. So Ahsoka is his historian. She is his de facto older sister, as I said in my breakdown. And it was just, as a fan, it was awesome to sit there and speculate on, man, what did these two talk about? Yeah, did they talk about Luke's mom? What she was like during the prequel era? I mean, Luke, at least in the movies, he doesn't know shit about Padme. Nothing. Was that discussed? Is she the one in his ear with all this attachment shit that we know, based on how he acts in The Last Jedi, that he ultimately realizes, like, all that shit that the prequel era Jedis were doing was stupid, and that's why they failed. I mean, we finished our rewatch of Skywalker Saga this weekend, so we did the sequels. And the line in TLJ, Luke literally says, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he says, the Jedi's hypocrisy and hubris is what took him out. And yet, what is this fucker doing at the end of the episode? The same shit that led to the downfall of the Jedi and his father turning into Darth Vader. So it's like, is Ahsoka the one in his ear? Because she's the one that has this hang up on attachments because of the trauma she suffered under watching what happened to Anakin with attachments.
Well, I think that, like, what he's trying to do with this is like, hey, if you want to keep this attachment, go ahead and get on out. Like, so he's giving him the option. Like, I don't think that he's being very hypocritical with
but Nick, what did he do in Empire Strikes Back when Yoda said, don't leave, or if you leave, you're not going to fucking finish your training? Luke made the decision. I mean, Yoda essentially gave him the same choice. He gave him the same choice.
The hypocritical one, though, because Yoda continued to train him even though he left. What Yoda
well, not really. He really didn't. Hey, well, I mean,
you're fucked.
He really didn't, because when Luke comes back in Jedi, he's like, I'm back for my training, and Yoda's dying. He's like, you don't fucking need it.
He's dead, but he was gonna train.
You don't need any more training. Fuck it, I'm dead. Eat a dick. But I think Luke's being a hypocrite, because he knew from his master that if he made the choice, the selfish choice to go help his friends, that he was putting the future of the Jedi in peril. That was laid out by Yoda and Obi-Wan. When they're leaving, watching them go away, he's like, oh shit, did we fuck up going after this one? And that's when Yoda's like, well, there's always another. If we lose this shithead because he is making the selfish choice to go be with his friends based on a vision he thought he saw, it's just odd that now Luke, when his potential pupil wants to see his friend, he gives him a clear ultimatum, like, you leave, you're done. Period. So that's where I don't
think that's hypocritical. I disagree on that, but we'll continue.
Well, no, we're going to keep talking about his hypocrisy once we get to the choice here. But yeah, I mean, the scene with them is fantastic. I'm not so sure why she dropped the "so much like your father" line after Luke questions if Grogu's heart is in it. Like, was she saying that in response to what Luke was saying about Grogu? Or like Luke not having faith in his pupil?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like that. That one doesn't really track all that well.
Tones kind of had the same confusion. I was the same way. I'm like, why is this Dave just sliding that line in because he knows fans are going to get a hard on over it? Because to me, it did not directly match what Luke just said. I mean, Luke's pretty much like, hey, look at this shithead. I don't know if his heart's in it. And she's like, oh, you're so much like your father. I don't remember Anakin ever like being
questioning Ahsoka's
like
loyalty.
being wishy-washy or not having hearts in anything. So who knows? What else we got here? Mando relying on old contacts. I think that's huge. And this also plays into what I've been trying to tell everyone. Shared universes can be excellent if done correctly. And so far, I think things are being done perfectly, in my opinion. But the fact that Mando, after he arrives at the palace and, Boba nods a few times and, they're in a quandary. Like, listen, we've got Chrysanthemum and Din. We can pretty much intimidate anyone now, but we still need some cannon fodder. We need some ground troops, some foot soldiers. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go hit up a contact I know. Doesn't really owe me a favor, but I've met this guy. We've established a relationship. We've gone to war together. I think I can rely on him. So that stuff's fantastic, and you should expect to see more of it across all of these shows, especially once some of the other shows get stood up, like Ahsoka. But to me, that is not only character building, but world building, and I'm all about it. All right, so Cad Bane, do we think he kills Cobb? I'm in a definite no. Yeah,
that's a definite no.
It was a shoulder shot, and the fact that they were giving him medical attention and not going like, the marshal.
You didn't see anybody run over to the guy who got shot 3 times because they were pretty sure he's dead. But Cobb's still alive.
Yeah, no, they made a point to like, Cad definitely killed someone today, but it was not Cobb Vanth. But the deputy is dead as fuck. I mean, that guy, I don't think I've ever seen a Star Wars character go that ham on a dude in a duel. But Cad was like, you know what? I'm getting sick of you and all your twitching over here. So bang, there's Cobb and like if that thing had a clip, he unloaded the whole fucking thing into the deputy.
Yeah.
So that was like, I thought that was fun. But that's Cad Bane for you. And I think this was in the chat earlier. Someone asked, if the deputy wasn't there, does Cobb have a chance at taking out Cad in the duel? And I'm still going to say no. Cad Bane is probably the best gunslinger, at least from a duel standpoint in the galaxy. He only has one equal, and that's Boba Fett. So, I do think, especially because Cad goes out of his way to talk shit about Boba Fett, to kind of remind everyone that these two got beef. All right, Cad's much older, by the way, but based on the deleted Clone Wars scene, we know at some point in time these two have a falling out on a mission, and they decide to duel, and they're essentially equal. The only reason one lives and the other one dies is because one was wearing a Beskar helmet. But they both hit each other in the head. Now, based on the Bad Batch and some of our own speculation just kind of filling in the gaps, it appears that duel may have happened after all. And hopefully we do get to see live-action Cad without his hat on to see his metal replacement in his head. But by Cad saying Boba Fett is a scumbag, he's a cold-blooded killer that only worked for the Empire, he clearly still has a chip on his shoulder about a former rival, at times maybe protege, in Boba Fett. So I think it's inevitable that there's a showdown between these two now in live action, and I'm talking Boba Fett and Cad Bane. Now, is that going to happen tomorrow? This week, depending on when you're listening to this episode of the SWTS, which is clocking in at 199. I think so in some capacity. Now, Nick, do you think there's a chance they bring him back just to die and play out the duel on screen. Or if we do get a duel, it's similar to what happened the first time and they both get a shot off, but it's not a kill shot.
I hope that they don't duel at all. And I hope that they take this and they roll this into the next season, because you have now set up an awesome showdown between not between like two rivals, between two different, like between the Syndicate and the family that Boba Fett has now built. So if you blow that all in one episode, then you're really kind of wasting the content. Like, you could have this last, part of season 2, or have this conflict between the family that Boba Fett is still building, because it still hasn't happened yet. Like, he hasn't built the family, and the Syndicate with the Pikes and Cad Bane should be the whole through line for another season. Like, if they end that in one episode, that's pretty fucking shitty.
Yeah,
honestly.
no, there's no way. There's too much to unpack. I mean, I don't want to get to predictions yet, but unless this stuff, unless they're gonna, we get some, hey, the Book of Boba Fett will return in the Book of Boba Fett season 2. There's no way all this shit gets wrapped up tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
And-
like that's my main issue.
And
is,
I
like,
know,
you
like,
don't have enough time to do it.
all of us would love to get a super long episode, but there's no way. I just have a feeling that at best we're going to get a 52-minute tomorrow. I really don't think we're going to get anything above and beyond, at least from a time length that they've already presented in Mandalorian season 1 and 2 and the Book of Boba Fett itself. Like I said, I think we'll be lucky to get into a 50+ minute episode, but nothing over an hour. No way.
Cad Bane's too important of a character to literally have him in. I mean, what was he in? 3 minutes of this episode, if that?
Right.
And then blast him the next one. Like, like, if they do that, then they've used him poorly. And, maybe they do, and then we end up saying like, oh, it was cool to see him anyway. But I think
that's why I said,
the best use of him was in the season.
Is it the duel and we finally get it, or do they fight somehow yet they both live to fight another day? And I think you're right. I mean, you've got this fan capital in Cad Bane, so why piss it all away in an episode in an eighth, essentially? I mean, he was in for a tiny little bit. But I do think there will be some nod to their beef, to their ability of gunslingers, and the duel that happened, we think, at this point off screen in the Clone Wars. All right.
I think that acknowledging that would be cool.
Okay, and then kind of wrapping up some of the key moments here before we speculate on the next one, on the finale. But how about this? I think we all should... I know we didn't see her body, so we can't make firm conclusions yet. But unless she is like a biotic from Mass Effect and can throw up a barrier around her, I don't know how Our Lady Love, a new sex symbol of Star Wars, I'm talking about Garsa Fwip, I don't know how she survives that Camtono IED. Because, I mean, the droid was literally, 5 to 10 yards behind her holding it up.
I think she got smoked.
Yeah,
but
sadly. I think she is, she's toast.
But she played the role that she needed to, and I think that attack specifically on that casino, on that person, is going to be enough to spur Boba Fett to be like, all right, wartime, let's go. I think that was the purpose of that, and I think it did a good job.
Oh yeah, no, that was 100%. All right, we've been talking about the motherfucking war. Now here it is, and the Pikes.
Does he take her exploded body to the chop shop and have it put back together?
Yeah, there you go. Let's mod her. Let's mod Garsa. I mean, I have. There's no way she made it. It just, I mean, that thing, like the fireball shot out the doors, or people blowing out the doors. I think some people said that Max Rebo was not spotted, so he may survive this explosion too. That'll be 2 survived massive explosions if he does. But we can't 100% say she's gone because there's no body parts, or we didn't see any flesh-colored what are they, Lekus or
you didn't see a Leku fly out a window.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess there's always a chance, but I'm pretty sure Garza, we speak your name. Rest in peace.
Toasted.
Okay, everyone,
Toasted.
take a few seconds. Okay. All right, I don't like that much dead air on a podcast, but I just wanted to give her a little bit of a moment here. All right, so back to the choice and why I think it's a bit of a foul on Luke's part, especially knowing the Luke he ultimately grows into by the sequel trilogy, someone that realized after all that trying to model himself and his academy off of the Jedi Order as it was in the prequel era probably was a bad idea. Yet we see him immediately getting hung up on attachment, putting a choice to Grogu that seemed, as I argue, kind of hypocritical to the choices he made as a Padawan himself. I mean, back in Empire, like I said, Yoda was very stern on do not leave. You can't always believe in those visions. If you leave, you could get killed. You're not ready to face him. I don't. He doesn't specifically say I'm never going to train you again. Like the choice wasn't as black and white as Luke gives Grogu, but it was made pretty clear. Like Luke choosing attachment over his training could have blown up Yoda's and Obi-Wan's long game plan, which was to hopefully get these fucking Skywalker kids ready to kill their dad. So I find it odd that only a few years later, you now have Luke trying to start an academy, a new school of Jedi, having this black and white choice over attachment to Grogu. It's like he learned nothing about his own training. I mean, Luke... And that's why people hated Luke and TLJ, because he was not the Luke that would go after his attachments. He decided to close them off because he felt it was better for the galaxy not to be on the map.
But also you can't apply TLJ Luke philosophy to this Luke, because the reason that TLJ Luke has that philosophy is because of everything that he went through in this time period, not the sequel, not the original trilogy. Like, he got there because of his failure with the academy. So like, you can't take old Luke's logic and apply it to this Luke, because that's not his mindset right now. Second, the Yoda didn't really present him with a choice. Luke says, my friends are in trouble, I'm leaving. And Yoda says, if you leave, then I'm not going to train you anymore. So it wasn't Yoda saying like, hey, do you want to leave or do you want to stay? I'll let you choose either one. Luke said, I'm going. Yoda said, if you go, I'm done with you. And Luke left. And then also the situation is completely different. Like, there is no imminent threat to anybody that Grogu cares about right now. Like, Grogu saw this guy come back. He's like, I miss my dad. I want to, brought up emotions. And then that's where Luke could see like, okay, you're still attached to this guy. And then that's why he offers him the choice. Can you get over your attachment? If you can't, take this little chain shirt and go. If you can get over it, you can stay and be trained. So like, it's like, to me, it's not even a close, like, yeah, like him having the option, like him choosing to stay or go is the same, but like everything around it makes it a completely different situation.
All right. I'm not going to argue semantics on that. The point is, Luke is already fucking up future Jedi.
Yeah, that's why he gets to the point to where he is in TLJ.
Yeah, I mean,
this fits along perfectly with the story that they told in the sequel trilogy. Like, he makes the same mistakes and he realizes it, and then he puts himself in isolation.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I'm surprised this early on, after he himself believed in attachment, saved the fucking galaxy over his belief in attachment, right? I mean, let's be real. His attachment to his father is the only reason he was able to redeem him in the end. Yeah, he tapped into the dark side a little bit to kind of get the power edge on him and beat his old man down. But it was Luke's attachment to his father that ultimately led to him, at least as we thought, saving the galaxy.
I mean, you can do something and be successful, but also know that like that probably wasn't the best decision to make. Like if you're driving a car and you're on a 2-lane highway and somebody in front of you is driving too slow and you go to change lanes, but there's a car coming at you, but you still do it and you made it, you're in front, still a bad decision. And you wouldn't tell other people to do that.
I don't know. I mean, is it a bad decision that he technically saved the galaxy from the rule of two?
Just because that's what I'm saying is like just because the outcome is good doesn't mean the decision was good. Like that happens all the time.
I don't know. I'm still going with Luke Skywalker during Empire and Return of the Jedi was pretty hung up on attachment, and he ended up doing some pretty great things. So it's odd to me, only a few years later, he now has a hard-on over, hey, if we're learning about the Force, attachments equal bad. You can't...
That's all he's got to go off.
One or the other. But he has his own experience to go off of. He ultimately was successful with attachment, right?
I know, but like to me, like I get where you're coming from, but to me, like you can't, it's not a results-oriented business. Like you have to look at every step of the process, because if life was just based off of results and not the means to get there, then things would be very different. You know, like it's not just like, oh, what came out of the decision? Was the decision made for the right reasons? Was the decision made under the correct state of mind and everything else?
The point is, it shows you,
a lot of shit happens.
It shows you how shitty Luke technically was when it came to being a Jedi Master. He's a fucking idiot.
Yes.
He didn't rely on his own experiences, which I'm going to argue worked out pretty fucking well for the galaxy.
No, yeah, I mean, it worked out well.
In the face of his crotchety old hubris-filled Jedi Masters, he's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm going to love my sister. I'm going to love my friends. I'm going to love my Sith dad that murdered all of your buddies and countless others over the past 20 plus years. And look what he did with that. Yet 5 years later, after reading some shitty, outdated books that Yoda himself ultimately says, yeah, that was a bunch of dumb shit. I'm an asshole. We're all assholes. He just that quickly, he forgets his own experience and wants to go right to a textbook approach of a Jedi Order that got owned by a prune-faced motherfucker within a 10-year time span. It's odd, but I guess it all plays out, and that's why he failed. That's why he failed Ben. That's why he locked himself away on an island, because he was an idiot.
I mean,
Luke Skywalker is the worst Jedi Master instructor in all of Star Wars. I said it.
I guess we've only seen a few. I mean, I don't know. It's, like this, like this lines up exactly with where we get Luke and TLJ. So like you can't, that's what my point is, like you can't apply like old Luke's logic to.
I think everyone's missing the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. We are already seeing Luke be a fucking bozo.
Yeah.
And it only took, it took him like a couple years to go from a new style of Jedi that can kick ass and take down Darth Vader with attachments to, yeah, that didn't work out well for me. I need to go back to what these, Yoda types learned that, oh, by the way, led to all them getting killed by fucking clones.
Yeah, but we knew he did that anyway. So like I wasn't surprised by it, because like that's in line with what we knew happened from the sequel trilogy. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, honestly, like if that's the only thing you have to go off of, then you just try to replicate it. I mean, they fell, and yeah, I mean, you make changes where you can, but
ultimately we can spin this all the way back to the people that hated Luke and TLJ. This is who he is. He's a fucking idiot. He's a dummy. He's a dummy.
But is he But which version? Is it the old one who's a dummy, or is it this one who's a dummy?
Well, this one grows into the bearded, long-haired guy, right?
But he changes his perspective on things when he's old. I think that people hated the old guy and his jaded perspective. But they didn't. I don't think people hate
which we're seeing play out right now in everyone's favorite black clothes-wearing Luke. He's already making those dumb decisions that is going to lead to him creating the next Darth Vader.
As the story
in Kylo Ren
in the sequel trilogy. Yeah. We knew that this was going to happen. So I don't see like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't see what the issue is. Like we already knew like this like the road that he was walking.
Of course.
Like we already
I'm not trying to make it an issue. I was just pointing out the fact that Luke is already the hypocrite that people hate in TLJ.
Okay, yeah. I still think that the decision's fine. Like letting him choose.
All right.
Because I wouldn't want somebody there that's like not dedicated to the cause. Just like I wouldn't want somebody who's like, do I want a girlfriend who's like, well, I'll spend half my time with you and then I'll spend half my time with the other guy that I care about.
Look at these people trying to tell me I'm wrong. I'm never fucking wrong. Oh, you idiots in the chat are wrong. All right? You know the rules around here. I'm not wrong when this show is going. So get used to it. I think it's funny. Like everyone's freaking out. Like I'm upset. I'm not. I'm just trying to point out that Luke's already a dope. Luke's always been a dope.
So you would have let Grogu do both if you were the Jedi Master?
Yeah. If I had Luke Skywalker, let's put Matt in Luke's shoes. If I had his experience in life, which attachments did nothing but ultimately benefit his Jedi progression, I would not sit there with this little guy and be like, hey, it's either me or him.
So how do you work his training then? Does he do like 3 months with dad and then 3 months at school and then 3 months back?
No, I let him have both, and you know he just has fun, and you know I'm a bad parent that way. I give in the kids a lot, so you know it would be anarchy and chaos, but at least I wouldn't be giving him that hard choice. What up, Matt?
I mean,
Boba's a dope. Luke's a dope. I'm reading the chat here. Everyone's like getting all worked up, especially Trevor. Wrong. Luke's a failure. He's a failure. I mean, anything after Return of the Jedi, we can say he's a failure. Come at me. How's he not? He doesn't get. He doesn't. He doesn't get a new.
You have a very results oriented view at life.
Okay, well, is that a bad thing? I mean, results are usually good.
Yeah.
But
kind of.
How is Luke in this timeline all the way through the sequel trilogy not a failure? He doesn't. I mean, the guy is one of the most powerful Jedi, has one of the richest histories, and he can't even get a goddamn academy up and going with students. He tries, they all get wiped out by one of them.
So, in that instance, then you would. So, like, if somebody opens a business, runs it for 30 years, and then it shuts down because one of their employees embezzles money from them, then they're a failure?
How does that work, though?
That's the same situation. It's he started the Jedi Academy, trained a bunch of Jedi, we have to assume, all came out good. One goes bad and kills all of them, but Luke's a shitty master.
Well, I mean, Luke himself blamed himself for the Academy failing and fucking up Ben Solo.
Yeah,
right?
Like as any person would do in a responsible situation. It's like, no, it's my fault. Like, yeah, like everybody says that when something goes wrong and they're, you know, responsible adult and they're trying to you know, not put blame on anybody else, but you know, like it's a very comparable situation to where like we have to assume now that if he starts this academy here, and this was something I was going to bring up, if he starts this academy here, even if Grogu leaves and he continues to teach, he's trained Jedi for 30 years.
No, that's not true though. That's not true based on comics and canon. He stopped his first batch of Jedi were the ones with Ben. And once Ben broke bad, that was it. He was done. You saw it play out in TLJ. I mean, Luke had no Jedi come out of his academy outside of the dark side leaning Ben Solo.
I mean, they had the other students there, though.
Ben took him out in the Knights of Ren comic. Ben takes him out. So that's
what I'm saying. Yeah,
but why did Ben get crazy? Because Luke was standing over him, ready to chop his head off.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, and that's like the whole, like the thing that I'm trying to parallel to in real life is like, you run a business for X amount of time and it's successful. Or even if it's just getting off the ground and it's doing well, and you have other. He wasn't
just successful.
Because one
though.
person
he wasn't successful
doesn't mean the other person is a failure. Would you? So you say that the Jedi?
How was Luke successful?
The Grand Order is a failure.
How was Luke successful?
It ran for 1,000 years before it went down. But it's a failure because it at the end. No.
You're talking about I'm talking about Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy. How was that successful based on what we know and what is in canon today?
Because every other student he had was totally fine, and then he had the one student that.
But they don't exist because the one that he failed wiped them all out. No Jedi
but they
came out of Luke's Jedi Academy.
But they did exist. All of the good students did exist. It's not like they
were still Padawans, though. I mean, come on.
Were they not?
I mean, he fucked up so bad that he was willing to let his sister fight for the right of the galaxy on her own. He did all of it.
Yeah. But you also said that that Yoda's Jedi Order was a failure, right? That was a failure too.
His time running it was not for thousands of years. This has been established in the High Republic. That was the High Republic era was the pinnacle, the peak of the Jedi Order. It only
for 900 years I trained Jedi. He didn't say that.
What, was Yoda around during High Republic? Sure, but what did he do? What happened to the Order under his watch as Grand Master?
I mean, Mace Windu was Grandmaster too. I mean, like, okay, well, I mean, 900 years is pretty good, but then I guess ultimately at the end, if it fails, it fails, right? It's a failure. 900 years, good run, but ultimately, you failed. I mean, I see the perspective at which you're coming at it from, but it's hard to argue that, like, if something is around for thousands of years and then it eventually goes under, that it was a complete and utter failure.
I just like all these people here, they love this stuff. Like, I think they think that I'm actually like worked up and upset at Nick. I get animated when I argue a point. And the point is, at least what's been put out there, and Luke himself said it, when he started his academy, it was a disaster.
But you just said that Luke was a buffoon. So why would you believe anything he says?
I don't.
But he said it.
Luke with attachment.
And now you're agreeing with
Luke
him.
with attachment was fantastic. Luke trying to pretend to be Yoda was not. Plain and simple.
He was awesome for like 3 days.
When
he had his attachment and he went to save his friends.
Yeah, but he carried that all the way through Return of the Jedi, right? I mean, his dad...
So like a year and a half.
His dad was an attachment too, or no? Am I wrong on this?
Like a year and a half then.
Okay.
He had a solid run.
Right.
Of like attachment Jedi Luke.
And then at the end, like if we want to fast forward all the way through TLJ, what happens? Oh yeah, hey, it's okay. Even Yoda comes out like, hey, yeah, we're idiots. See, even Yoda says we're dummies. Just let her go. She knows enough. She's fine. Plus, you know, she's what do they call Rey?
She's a dyad member?
No, a generic term that people throw out for girls that are too powerful. What the fuck were people calling her?
Not Shirley Temple. No, because that's a real person.
Damn it, you know what I'm talking about though.
They called her that when the movies came out. I don't remember what it is though. Yeah, she's got plot armor or whatever term.
I know that there's like a specific term for it that we're both too stupid to remember, but it doesn't matter. All right, whatever. For the sake of time, we'll move on. But I mean, I don't think there's any agreeing or disagreeing here. I mean, I'm laying out. This is how Luke's Jedi Academy played out. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mary
yeah,
Sue. There,
yeah.
they had it. There, they got it. The
Mary
chatters got it.
Sue.
There we go. They're all Mary Sues. Luke's a Bobby Sue, for Christ's sakes, you know? All right, well,
All right.
I'm glad everyone had fun here.
Ultimately,
And for
what are
you, for all
expecting
you
out of
people
the
calling me
last
that I'm
part?
wrong, go fuck yourself, all right? I'm never wrong. I'm right. You guys all have like this you have like this Jesus complex around Luke Skywalker when he's one of the most flawed characters in all of Star Wars.
So last episode is tomorrow. Are you expecting?
Hold on, hold on. I
what?
think we covered that. Let's before we do that, since you and the chat got me off track here, it's all your guys' fault. Shirley Temple.
Shirley.
That's a good one.
That's
a non-alcoholic drink or a young actress from back in the black and white days. Yeah. Well, I'm glad everyone can be entertained over me having my opinions, but it's all good.
Sorry. All right. What do you want to
What
hit
is
on?
this shit? I'm not hating on anything. I'm having a discussion, you motherfucker. Now they're just trying to tweak my tits and keep me all riled up because they like this shit. They want
right.
me to have an aneurysm, which I am definitely due for at some point in my life because of all the anger that I let flow through me over stuff like this. Oh, you motherfucker. Listen, you guys are all
All right.
you guys are all whacked out. All right?
Stay on target.
You guys
Stay
stop
on
it
target.
with your Luke. Oh, Luke this, Luke that. I like Luke Skywalker, but he's probably not even in my top 5, you motherfuckers. Give me Darth Vader. Give me Darth Maul. Give me Ahsoka Tano. No, this will not give us more views because no one will fucking pay attention. So unless you people go out and be like, hey, look, this guy's fucking crazy. Check him out. His opinions suck. No one's even going to know except for our existing fans. So here we go. All right. Now, I want to talk about Luke's CGI real quick, if you'll let me, young Nick.
Yeah.
Definitely major improvements over Mandalorian to now. If it was the deep fake YouTube guy they hired, money well spent. But I don't think anyone can sit there and say that stand-in CGI process voice Luke is sustainable in the long run. This goes back to Nick's point when we were talking about, hey, if Han Solo shows up in this series, what are you going to do if it's CG Harrison Ford? And Nick's like, you know what, man, enough's enough. We need to, just as Star Wars fans, collectively come to an understanding that these actors are aging out. They're all probably going to be dead within the next 10 years. Hopefully not, but more than likely they will. So we need to get used to recasting the mains. And while I think Luke's parts, yes, that Luke, the same fucker I just talked a bunch of shit about, while I think his parts were great in this episode, there's a dynamic missing when you don't have a real person doing the scenes and acting and working with, other characters. Now, yeah, he's working with a fucking puppet, but you can't capture every nuance of a human's performance with this de-aging, stand-in, voice processed kind of transformer that they've made Luke into.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it is a bit sacrilegious to think about someone else playing Luke, someone else playing Han, which we've already had, and I think it worked out okay. But really, especially Luke, we have not had that yet. We've had to kind of experience that with Han. We haven't had it with Leia. She's been all CG, goofy looking. Like, man, she is awful, like Uncanny Valley bad in the Tross flashback where they're training. Just whew.
Oh yeah,
Woo! She flips up her visor. You're like, Jesus Christ, that's like some alien. It's not even a real person.
Both of the animated Leias that we've seen have been pretty rough. Yeah,
but
it's not.
I think I'm with you now, and it's just, I think it's something all of us are just going to have to come to terms with, and they probably should consider recasting the big three. or at least the big two, the ones that they have folded into modern Star Wars. Man, I am freezing. I think my house is like 64. I'm like,
I was gonna say, it sounds like you're shivering.
it's cold. It is like I don't wear my hoodie down here when we're doing the show because I just fucking sweat too much. But I have a noticeable chill right now, and that's why I brought it up, because I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. But I'm like I'm about to start chattering my teeth at this point in time. But yeah, I don't know. I just like, if he's used sparingly like this, okay, I guess they can limp this along for a bit longer. But man, within almost a 2 year, not even a 2 year time span, we have had a heavy helping of Luke. I mean, I think Luke was in this episode more than any of the prominent characters in the Mandoverse, like Din, or of course Boba. I mean, Boba's just become a joke at this point in time. But there was something missing. There was still something missing to me. Like I said, the voice sometimes sounded like it was being delivered from an ISDN line, and he wasn't present on the set speaking it. Yeah,
Mark Hamill apparently didn't record voice lines for this episode. So like all of this that was done, everything that was said was done through like voice modulation that just matched his tone. And I definitely agree that it was noticeable in points that it was not a human being speaking.
Right. And then some of the lip syncing gets pretty noticeable. If you watch the thing 3 times and you throw up captions like I do, it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's not delivering these lines at all. Just like his mouth moves and they kind of slip out.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things that I'm like, look, the end of this episode, obviously, for those of you who aren't adults that are watching it, you're like, oh my God, the decision, what is he going to make? Realistically, if he takes the lightsaber, they have to make a show about these two characters together, which they're not going to do with CGI Luke. It's not, like you said, you can't do that over long stretches of time, because it would just be like the uncanny valley would kick in, and then the weird voice stuff would start to annoy people. So if they did choose to go that direction, I feel like you have to pull the trigger on Sebastian Stan taking over as Luke.
He's still perfect. It's almost a 1-to-1 correlation between Hamill and Stan.
And the thing is like Mark's already signed off on it. Like, Sebastian has already said, like, look, if they ask me to do this, as long as Mark says it's okay, then I'm down to do it. Sebastian Stan is in the Disneyverse through MCU. So, I mean, he's there. He's ready to do it.
He's fucking Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Or no, what's his name? Tommy Lee. He's just not Tommy Lee Jones.
Not Jones.
Tommy Lee.
It would be a very different show on Hulu if it was Tommy Lee Jones. But yeah, Tommy Lee. I think, but that's the thing, is like you got to make that change. And as much as it may suck for, older fans, people who are around when the theatrical releases of the original trilogy were out. Yeah, I mean that's going to be a hard change to make. But if you want long-term stories to be told about Luke Skywalker in human form, not animated form, then you're going to have to be okay with that.
I'm with you. And like I said, the CG was phenomenal. I mean, it was so much better than it was the best it could be. The best it could be right now. Right.
I don't think you could have done it better.
No. But there's just a few things that are off enough that a sustained performance, a recurring character, it's just like, nah, come on. Like, we all love Mark. And you know what? If it's his choice to make, then I'm fine with that. Like, if Mark is the one that they're saying or waiting on, like, hey, are you ready to pass the torch? No, I want to keep doing it. Great. Then keep doing it, Mark. Nothing against the Hamill. But it just, you are missing out on the nuances of a human performance by going with these. Ultimately, they have stand-ins, all that fun stuff, but it's still a CGI character, especially their CG in the voice, more or less. I mean, I know it's not. It is a computer-generated voice, so. I don't know. It was a huge improvement. I think it works for what we got so far. But like, if Luke really is going to become a major player and pop in here and now in Ahsoka or Mando subsequent seasons, or if we get more Boba, it may be the time. I don't know. I don't know if Disney, I mean, are they the ones that are like, no, we got to keep doing it this way? Or is it the actors? I mean, obviously you would think the ones that control the license have the ultimate decision, but I do think they treat the original cast as like advisors and royalty. And
yeah,
I think there'd be a discussion with Mark, like, hey man, listen, like, if you want to keep doing the voice, fine. Well, we can do that CG shit, but it'd probably be better for the character to just pass the torch. And it'll be a slightly jarring at first, as it may have been for a lot of people when you first watch Solo. I know they could be like, oh, he was a little younger, and you know, you could let your brain process it that way. But in the end, I mean, Alden doesn't fucking look like Harrison. Harrison doesn't look like Alden. I think Alden captured the essence of the character, which was good enough. But that's the bonus with Hamill. If they do go for Stan, you're pretty much getting the look you want. You just got to wonder if you're going to get the performance. But I do think it's time to let them rest. Yeah.
And look, Sebastian Stan is an incredible actor, and I think that if given the chance, he would be able to pull off Luke Skywalker phenomenally. Like, obviously, you know, slight nuance and stuff like that will come with time if he plays it over a long period of time. And he's never going to be Mark Hamill. Nobody's ever going to be Mark Hamill again. But I think he's your best option, and he wants to do it, and Mark is okay with him doing it. And if the content calls for it, I think that they should pull that trigger. I mean, I was a fan of Solo. I thought that Alden did a admirable job bringing that character to life. And if you've done it with Harrison, you can do it for Mark as well. Like, I mean, granted, Harrison was probably like,
good,
please get somebody else to do this.
Like, sweet. I'm only going to take $10 million paydays for like a scene here or there. I'm not getting looped into new franchises. The Mandoverse, what the fuck is that? Stupid Star Wars. I want to go back to filming Indy 10 as a decrepit old adventurer. But hey, we love him. All right, so setting up the finale here, because we're definitely backing up here on time. Let's just start with the choice, the thing that threw us off the rails and reminded people that I'm crazy. Where are you going with the choice, Nick?
Oh, he's taking the chainmail for sure. He's taking the little chain. It's either he takes the chainmail or he tries to take both. He doesn't go for the lightsaber alone.
All right. If you're on the stream, I'm doing some exercises here to kind of get the blood flowing again. As you can see, my fingers are like turning pink. There may have been a little adrenaline in there, but I'm telling you, it's freezing in this house. I mean, just for clarity, I have a thermostat that's programmed, and I think during the day it doesn't get above 65. So yeah, it gets cold here at Clan Haywood every once in a while.
You're up in the cold region. You're in the Columbus, Ohio.
Dude, they even canceled my college last week, Thursday and Friday. Yeah. So the little one and I, we kind of had to putz around for 2 days, but it was a good time. Sled riding, man. It doesn't matter how old you get. Shit is a blast. Even though I mangled my leg doing it back in middle school, like literally, I mean, I fucked up my leg so bad sled riding that I missed half of my 8th grade year and had to be tutored at home because I was in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Damn.
I mean,
that's
I had a full plaster cast that went all the way up to my belly for 6 months. So I had to sit in a wheelchair because it was a spiral fracture. So my right foot was pointing to the left, which isn't a natural way for your right foot to point. So the only reason I lucked out and it wasn't like a full on, I needed needles and shit, is it didn't compound. But my tibia was fully broken in half and twisted around. It was pretty neat. But no, I mean, anyways, we went sled riding. I laugh and scream the whole way every time we go down, like, woo-hoo-hoo! yeah, hitting jumps and shit. Seeing my little kid who doesn't know you got to hold on when you hit a jump, flying out of the fucking sled like, oh, hopefully she doesn't break anything as daddy jumps over top of her.
One thing I will say on the choice, I mean, regardless of if he chooses a chainmail shirt, motherfucker can still have a lightsaber. It's not like you need to be a Jedi to have a lightsaber. Look at Ahsoka. Ahsoka forged those blades after leaving the academy. She had new sets of lightsabers after she left the academy. So it's not like, oh, he takes the chain shirt, he'll never have. He still has the Force, and he can still make a lightsaber if he needs to. Like, there's no, it's not a mutually exclusive thing at this point anymore, because Ahsoka has proven to, like, is the proof point to where it doesn't fucking matter if you stay in the Jedi Academy or not. Like, you can still be a Force user who uses lightsabers and shit like that. Granted, she had a lot more training, yes, but
Ben Solo, Rey, they're all unaligned. They're now classified as unaligned Force users, like Ahsoka.
Forces.
So yeah, they did the same thing. I mean, we saw Rey. She built her own lightsaber after that weird burial ceremony, and Kylo. We see in the comics how he forged that one. So I guess the other question I want to ask is: the choice something that happens in episode, or is it like a stinger for a lead-in to Mando season 3?
Yeah, because I don't see them going right back to it. I don't see them going right back to it. I see them picking up with, Din and Boba and the whole clan Fett, and then continuing from there. Yeah, and then Mando S3. Yeah, it might be the stinger. Here's what I'm having. It looks like Trevor beat me to it, but I can show everyone my notes just to show that I was right first.
I had here like the final point. Could we see Luke and Grogu coming to the rescue in Red 5? Like, I know Trevor, he fleshed out a bit more here. Like, maybe Luke senses that Grogu is sensing that his friends are in danger during the battle with the Pikes. And is that what gets Luke to be like, all right, let's go check this shit out, buddy? And so
they're gonna give the fans the exact moment that they wanted in TLJ but didn't get, where he swoops in on Red 5, saves the day.
Well, helps out, at least turn the tide against which I still think is the MacGuffin syndicate, the Pikes. So we'll get right into. I thought these days. I got my notes, motherfucker. I take these notes on Wednesday. I wrote that down after the last episode aired on Wednesday. God damn it. You son of a bitch. You live streamers today are really tweaking my nuts, and I love it. But I've also, I've seen this spit around, and here goes Tone's kind of coming up with parts of it. But this could be a way to get Han and Chewie in the mix. Dude,
I hope they come in.
Luke could phone up his buddies, be like, "Hey, man, I failed with this kid. Can you run him back to Tatooine? Like, I don't even want to get mixed up in it." And they're the ones that bring Grogu back during the battle. These guys, a little shirt on, and maybe Luke still slides in the lightsaber.
Detour him out. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be a cool move,
because that way,
Go ahead.
I said that way Luke maintains his hard stance, but he's also kind of letting Grogu do what he himself did back in Empire Strikes Back.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that if any series is going to bring in Han and Chewie, it's this one. It's got to be this one. Like, there's too much shit in this series that fits right into their fucking zone.
Yeah.
That to leave them out would almost be negligent.
It's their world after all. I mean, they were the characters that were dabbling in the underworld before Luke and Obi-Wan hired them. I mean, that's what they were. He was Jabba's main smuggler. I mean, he loved them. They're like, "Oh, Han, my boogie. Oh, hey, I love you, buddy. You're my guy. Why'd you fuck up? I'm going to kill you if you don't pay me," type of stuff. So, but there's also connections with Boba and Luke. I mean, Boba ultimately ended up in the pit because of Luke and Han and Chewie. So that's why I was there is a through line for Luke coming to join in this fight as well. And by the fight, so further predictions for the finale. I do think we see a resolution, or it will feel like a resolution of the battle between the Pikes. But the very end, maybe the cliffhanger or the stinger is oh, yeah, you thought you won, but the battle is just beginning for you, Boba. And that's where we get the Crimson Dawn, the thing I've called, weeks ago that everyone now is going to jump on when it happens, be like, hey, look what we figured out, and no one will give me credit. And then we just get back to this cycle of me getting crazy on this fucking live stream with you people, egging me on and telling me I'm an idiot. But no, I mean, I think there's a moment to be seen with Luke and Din fighting side by side, maybe with blades out. That would look pretty fucking cool. That'd be a moment. But obviously having some sort of beef settled between Han, Chewie, and Boba would enrich Boba too. And we forgot about Boba. I mean, I think we're finally going to return to the main storyline, but that would be a nice kind of cherry on top for Boba's growth from Empire shithead to being able to kind of fight side by side with a guy that he wanted to kill. I mean, he did the job for Jabba by capturing Solo, using the Empire to capture Solo. But I told you, in War of the Bounty Hunters, I mean, he looked Jabba in the eyes. He's like, kill this guy. Fucking kill Han Solo. He's dangerous. So I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks the choice is a stinger and it's going to bleed into season 3 of Mando, or it's made off screen and we get a big hero moment in the end with either one or two iconic ships showing up to turn the tide, to only be reminded that, by the way, the Pike nonsense, that's just a smoke screen. This is the real syndicate that does not like what you're doing. And since I made the prediction, I'm going with it. I'm going with the Crimson Dawn Kira. But I'm telling you right now, Crimson Reign, the comic, could fuck all this stuff up. Because it's not clear when Kira dies. We know she dies, and it seems like she dies in her mission to take out Darth Vader and Palpatine. So does she make it beyond their apparent passings? I don't know. But I still think Crimson Dawn is going to be revealed as the ultimate string puller behind what has been going on with Tatooine and the Pikes trying to run Spice and take it over.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Like the Syndicate, doesn't, not even, I mean, the Pike Syndicate, I guess, but yeah, they're kind of the smaller players here, I guess. And
that's what I mean. Like, I think the whole episode is going to be great moments. We're going to get the Rancor riding. It's happening. And, maybe the good guys face some adversity at first, but then they kind of, they overcome that. And it looks like, all right, we got it. We're taking out the Pikes. Pew, 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 pew. Moke Shays, eat dick. And then it's like, right as the show's about the end, right when the things are looking up, they get smacked in the face. Book of Boba Fett, season 2, the fight continues. Something like that. Or obviously it could carry into some of the Mando storylines, but I feel like the war, if it does continue, which I do believe it will, because there's no way the Pikes are the big bad. There's no fucking way. No. You pretty much have to have Boba Fett season 2 to continue those main narratives, while also maybe, having some Boba interaction in Mando season 3.
Yeah, and remember too, everybody listening, that this is just the beginning of the convergence of these series. I mean, Ahsoka hasn't even started yet,
and she's already popped up in two franchises already. Yeah,
and she's already in 2 other shows. So, I mean, this is kind of just the beginning of the shared universe. So it's not like, Boba Fett's going to end and then boom, all is well with the universe. This is just the start of a much larger conflict that's probably going to envelop a lot of the Outer Rim and most of the Underworld. So
what's a faction we've all just kind of ignored? that is a main faction still in this timeline, with a main and iconic Star Wars character attached to it. We haven't said shit about the Remnant. We haven't said shit about Thrawn. You know,
yeah, Thrawn is the one.
They could have a hand.
Like the ultimate.
They could have a hand behind all this stuff. I mean, maybe they're the ones driving. I'm not well versed in the Hidden Empire portion of Star Wars, but that is coming with ties to Crimson Dawn. So, is he mixed up in that shit? Is it the Remnant through maybe a Thrawn envoy or something? Are they the ones running Crimson Dawn to fuck up Tatooine? I don't know, but in this Mandoverse, this shared universe, first Moff Gideon, then the name drop of Thrawn, who's probably going to be the big bad for Ahsoka. They are a main player in this timeline. Yeah. I mean, they are they've been the main adversary for Din. You have the history with what they did to the Mandalorians, which obviously is still fresh in all their minds. Bo-Katan fucking hates them. The Armorer has no love for the Empire and the Remnants. So we could get a little reminder that, hey, we're still players in the galaxy too, in the finale of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Thrawn, to me, like, is the big bad of the whole, like, in my opinion, probably the whole overarching narrative. Like, he's going to be the fucking Thanos of this interconnected Star Wars TV cinema, TV universe. So yeah, I think that, I don't know if we'll get a tease of Thrawn yet. I think it's still a little early, but I do think that you're on the right track where, like, he is probably above Crimson Dawn in terms of, like, who's orchestrating, pulling all the strings and not only the Remnant strings, but he's probably got his hand dabbled in the underworld and influencing a lot of different stuff. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the mayor is directly tied to Crimson Dawn. That I'm replying the tones in the chat. I'm still, like I said, I'm riding and dying with my Crimson Dawn Kira predictions. That's, it's what I do. I laid them out there December 8th. I got the date marked down. I got clips ready to roll out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. No one's going to give a fuck anyways, because no one gives a fuck when I'm right, outside of the lovely people that join us for our live stream and in our Discord, which, if you want to join the Discord, we got a link in our Instagram profile. It's wide open. Jump in, have some fun. We have a spoiler channel. We have just a shooting the shit channel, random shit. You never know. But a lot of these degenerates that are watching the show today are in it, and I include myself amongst the degenerates. So
the degenerates.
Yeah, don't think I'm trying to put myself above all of you. I appreciate the diehards 100%, even if they are trying to get me all worked up today, which is fine. Hey, that's why we do what we do. The interaction is what we want, here. So it's fine. Nick gets red because he has a drinking problem. Props.
I do.
We've established
this right
this.
Here.
He's sitting there. He's pounding bourbon and ripped fuel for the whole show. That's why he turns a deeper shade of red. It's his lighting. He's got like a.
I have really.
Hey,
this is like
we're gonna start a GoFundMe for the show and use it to. We'll have Nick get like a ring light or something.
Also, like, I'm just kind of getting, I get hot when I'm in here because, like, I have, like, the heaters on in my house now. It's probably like 73 degrees up here, and I have, y'all can see Ellie's tail. Ellie is sitting on me, so that's adding to my hot. So,
all right, I got a couple. Yeah. Not Ponda Baba, Black Sun. Yes, definitely canon through the. Crimson Reign, I mean, you even get a Zizor mention, so yeah, they're definitely canon, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm also being asked, do I still think Fennec could turn? 100%, yes, I do.
Even she could.
I mean, I still think the Kursatan ninja shit was very suspicious. But even in episode 4, in the flashback, where she's essentially taunting Boba, like, you're a soft little bitch. And even in the Book of Boba Fett, the first 2 episodes, like, you sure you don't want me to fuck some people up, dude? Like, we really got to do this respect shit.
I'll kill them for free.
So yeah, I could see Fennec doing them dirty. Sure, why not? I think that'd be a fun little heel turn, even though she's already a heel.
He's like technically a heel already, but yeah, like heelier turn.
Right, so
sure.
big moments tomorrow or this week, whenever you're watching, and I know I'm going to be up. Like I am anxious for this episode. I'm always anxious for new Star Wars, but this one in particular, based on the setup in 1 through 4, and then the world building in 5, 6, I am like, let's go. It's a hard one to speculate outside of, we're going to see the Rancor. That's a fucking given. I mean, they tipped that away. We didn't even need the fucking leak. I mean, that's been telegraphed since Trejo showed up. And Boba being all animal friendly. I could see a double cross going down with Fennec. The Pikes aren't the big bad. That'll be revealed towards the end, possibly setting up Boba Fett season 2. Or dribbling into Mando season 3. And I would not be surprised if we see the little guy show up in an iconic ship that is not Mando's new N1. Meaning either Luke's coming to the fray or Luke enlisted his former or his current friends, I guess, to roll him through. I mean, there's you gotta remember, I believe the timeline checks out. There could be a chance that there's even a young Ben Solo available at this point in time.
Yeah, how old would he be here?
Young, like.
Yeah, he would be like a child,
toddler.
Like, he went to,
I think, toddlerish.
Yeah, because he went to the academy when he was like 10, I think, right? I think that's when he first got there.
Yeah, I think when in one of Leia's stories, it sounded like a 10-ish when she kind of threw up her hands and turned him over to the uncle. Something like this. Oh, yeah, the Cad and Boba showdown for sure. Even if it's shit talking that resembles a duel and we don't actually get a shootout, those two are having a moment. And I think it's going to be a memorable moment, regardless if it results in a character's death or not. I don't think they're taking out Boba Fett after they've just turned him into a real character. And like Nick said, why waste the capital of Cad Bane so soon? So, we get the showdown in some form or fashion. They probably both live because we want the characters in more seasons. The Rancor ride, the Pike MacGuffin, or the Pike smokescreen, and then the choice. If the choice happens in show, I think he shows up and we get a woohoo type of moment. Like, yeah. If the choice does not happen in show, then I think it's a stinger for sure. I do think we're getting a stinger on the end here to either set up season 3 or to let us know that Boba Fett is getting a second season. And as I've been reminded, I think everyone needs to be ready that this is going to be a Robert Rodriguez directed episode. So
get ready for some slow chase scenes and bright colors, friends.
So just be prepared for potentially wonkily shot scenes that might ruin it for some of you, but I'm all for it. So, all right, boy, we gotta get moving here. Okay, I'm going to blow through some of these other ones because there's really we've speculated our asses off, went down some crazy tangents that we haven't had in a while, and it's been good. But hey, I'm still shivering. There's no adrenaline in me, so it really is cold here.
Just cold.
I'm sorry, props. He said he directed 3, and he hasn't directed the last 3. So we know he did episode 1 and 3. So he's got the finale. Okay, we got some news, or I mean, I guess you could call it a leak.
Yeah,
Grogu's definitely staying with Mando. You don't build his N1 with a canopied droid cockpit if you're not putting a droid in that thing, right? Droids don't need an airtight seal when they're in space. Okay, so... and we've talked about this before. I mean, we had that leak. That leak obviously has turned out to be a bunch of bullshit in terms of the schedule for Disney Plus. But thanks to a now deleted tweet from a Disney Plus director of something, I think it's pretty clear now that
program manager.
There you go, program manager. What the fuck is a program manager on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I mean,
what does that even mean?
I think his literal job is to like set release schedules.
All right.
Like that's what a program manager.
Yeah, so this Brandon Sangiovanni, aka at the Brandalorian, tweeted out and then quickly deleted. And the reason he tweeted this out, because we did get news last week, I guess I'll bring it up, that Obi-Wan Kenobi is getting a comic book miniseries in May. So if you take that knowledge in tow and the fact that Brandon dropped his tweet when this was announced, and his said, our very own Obi-Wan, we be saying hello there on Disney Plus, May 2022.
There you go.
I think the cat's out of the bag. At one point in time, I was like, nah, I think they're saving Kenobi for the May the 4th type of deal. I don't know if that's still going to line up, but it is looking like May for Kenobi, which makes sense. That's going to give us, what, over 8 weeks of a break, so all the angry fans can get back to remembering that they actually love Star Wars, and then they can watch Kenobi and instantly hate Star Wars again. That was something my friend Nick was worried about, if these were going to be stacked right up next to each other. He's like, that might be too much for the trolls out there, and it could lead to Disney changing their course again, just like they did after TLJ and Solo. But I think Brandon's deleted tweet confirms it. Not only are we going to get a comic book miniseries for Kenobi in May, we're going to get the motherfucking show that I think a lot of us have been dying to see. It's crazy to think, with how great the Mandoverse has been, that the Kenobi show has potential to blow it out of the fucking water, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, it really does. Like, you know, I love the Mandoverse. I'm glad we're getting new characters mixed in with the old. But if you're talking about this timeline where we have not seen Kenobi or Vader kind of doing their thing, whew, man, if I wasn't already having the chills, I'd be getting the chills right now, because I think there's potential for some of the greatest Star Wars moments that we've ever seen to play out in Kenobi. So,
but Matt, his helmet looks different.
You know it's coming. You know it's going to be something like
Kenobi, his cape is too short.
Kenobi's beard doesn't have enough white hair in it to signify he's gotten older.
The green lights on his chest are a different shade of green, though.
They're also not pulsating in the same pattern that they were in A New Hope.
How could you possibly like it?
Obi-Wan doesn't look like General Kenobi in episode 3 of season 6 of the Clone Wars. Yeah, it's coming. Don't worry.
That's what it's going to be.
I mean, it'll immediately be like, oh, you know, they're SJWing it because they put Kumal in it. You know all that shit's coming.
Like, why is there a woman in this?
Yes, how dare women show up in Star Wars and actually do something besides pour out blue milk and then get caught on fire and charred to their bones. I love Star Wars. Yeah, but, so Kenobi May, so that's great news, and I think that's definitely going to be it, because we get Moon Knight coming out at the end of March. And like I said, we're going to get an 8+ week break of Star Wars deleting Kenobi. With Kenobi coming out in May, though, where's Bad Batch come into play? Is it going to be another 16 episode season? Is it only going to be 8? Are they going to stack Bad Batch on the end of Kenobi? Is Andor still coming out towards the end of summer, early fall?
Maybe with that being, like, it almost seems like May into June is probably going to be Kenobi, unless it releases like the first week of May, which it could. And then in that case, then it would end in the same month, because it's only going to be a 4 episode run. Or is it 6?
Kenobi?
Yeah, 6.
I think it's 6. It could be as short as 4. Who the fuck knows? But
I can't remember, because there's been a lot of conflicting reports about it. But like, that'll go mid-June at the latest. And then you could take until July and then start Bad Batch in July. So you give a couple of weeks of break. If it is 16 episodes, then you're talking about essentially a 4-month-long run. And that would take you July, August, September, October.
What is May?
Then that would be kind of weird, because then you would have, you still have to release Andor and Mando S3.
Oh shit, dude! May the 4th is fucking Wednesday. I mean, that's a done deal. I mean, that's even their stupid new launch day. So
yeah, so it's definitely coming out May the 4th.
So it'll be over. What?
I don't know. It's like
episode 2 on the 11th, 3 on 8th. Yeah, so that's over by mid-June. You fire up batch end of June, July.
Yeah, but then it gets weird because if they do Bad Batch as a weekly release for 16 episodes, then you get into an area where it's like then you have Andor and I mean Mando S3 is supposed to release holiday this year.
Yeah, I think that would December again, late November, December.
Yeah. Yeah, so it would just get close with Andor and Mando S3 releasing in a similar time window.
The only thing we have to kind of compare things to is last year's schedule, and I do believe Bad Batch ran alongside at least 2 of the live-action Marvel shows. I think Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier. So maybe they're like, it's an animated series. We're not so worried about kind of an overlap, but it would be interesting it would suck for someone like me, especially if they stick to a Wednesday release, because then you're talking about potentially a Bad Batch episode every week on top of an Andor episode every week, and I don't know about that. And I think Andor's 12, right? I believe Andor's like a 12 run, and talking about Andor, you probably should stop letting Stellan Skarsgård do interviews because he spoiled what Saw Gerrera is going to be in Andor. I mean, he just rolls it out there. But recently, when he's talking about, I guess he's doing an episode of The Simpsons, and it was just like a Swedish publication or online site. They asked him, like, hey, so what else? What's your shooting schedule for 2022? And he's like, we start with Dune Part 2 in July, and then in the autumn, it's time for the second season of the Star Wars series Andor. I do not know when they will start broadcasting it. It will take some time so that it does not take too long between season 1 and season 2. So Andor's definitely getting a second season. And
confirmed.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know when they're going to start airing it, but we're definitely shooting the next season this fall. So, but Andor, like I believe it was a Disney investor call, said Q4, Disney's Q4 is when it's releasing, which we determined was like end of summer, early fall.
Yeah.
So it's the Bad Batch Andor cadence. That's the one. Like I'll be interested to see how they kind of flesh that out.
If they overlap that at all, or if they choose to like, I mean, they could do it to where, it pushes Andor to October, November. Man, that would be close. No, because if it started in October, it would have to run 12 episodes. I think it is 12 episodes all the way through the end of the year.
Yeah, I think Andor has to start late August, September, especially with a 12 episode run, unless they're planning on doing like a 2 episode debut.
Yeah, I know that Prime has started doing that for some of their stuff. They'll drop them 3 at a time.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't mind, and that's what they did with Peacemaker. I actually think that probably would have served the Book of Boba better for a lot of fans. I mean, I'm fine with the slow burn. But I think fans that were itching to like, where the fuck is this going? I can't see past like my face. It probably would have been better for them to get 1, 2, and 3 all strung together, and then wait for 4. I don't know. I don't see the live action shows overlapping. It's nothing.
Yeah, it would be too much.
It's too much. Like and they create these schedules for a reason. I mean, yeah, some of it comes down to when they're shooting and when stuff's ready, but they're setting dates with a purpose of trying to get the most eyes and the most subs watching it. So you don't want to really split your audience too much. I mean, I guess if they get 1 sub, they don't give a shit what show you're watching, but I do feel like they want each of these to kind of stand on their own without having to kind of cannibalize the franchise, if you will.
I don't know if you saw this. Never mind. This is something weird. Old.
Hey, does anyone else think that I
ignore me?
Have bought Enzo rings? Look at all the fucking ads that show up on the site from my browser.
Dude, all the ads that I have are for the companies that I like do their advertising for. Because like right now, it's one of like
I could see that
businesses that I run their ads for.
Yeah, no, for me, I've got and what's sad is I've now purchased 9 of the Star Wars Enso rings. So the shit works.
I see them every now and then.
It got me on Instagram. It was targeted advertising going on Instagram. They're like, hey, look at this set of rings.
I just got an ad for it on Facebook. Enzo Star Wars collection, right in front of me. There you go.
I was going to tell you.
I knew I saw.
I actually looked at our account on Instagram. I'm like, have we been logged in somewhere else? Because now, if you go to search, a lot of the videos are either sexy women, fitness, or pimple popping. And
pimple popping.
That's not shit I look for. So I was like, why is it showing us this stuff? It used to be like a lot of Star Wars content. It's like pimple popping videos and girls in like garter belt type of setups.
Scantily clad women.
Yeah, like, hey,
interesting. I mean, the only time that I'm on the IG is when I pull the top 5.
That's what I mean. Like I even look. I'm like, last login, it's Columbus. Every once in a while, it says like Mustang, Texas, or something.
That's I don't know why Facebook reads where I am as Mustang Ridge, Texas, but yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? I was like, man, what the fuck is Nick getting into down there? Like he's like searching girls in stockings, popping pimples, and having himself a good time.
Hey man, everybody has their thing.
Whatever floats your boat. And like I said, I mean, I'm never gonna not look at some lovely looking ladies. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, IG's fucked up. Period. Okay, so last topic here before we get into the fan segment and get through that. And trust me, I'm going to spend a minute on this. But Crimson Reign issue 2 came out last week. I did a breakdown. If you want the full breakdown and recap of the comic, please check it out on our YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show, or just go to starwarstime.net and find the YouTube link there, or the article and video itself. But real quick, Crimson Reign 2 overall was a dud when it comes to interesting canon to discuss. So all I can report back is what we got out of issue 2 was Kiera kind of laying down her philosophy on how she gets people to do awful things for her, in particular murder, because this was all about assassinations. And I think it was interesting insights into Kiera and who she is. But she's like, listen, people kill for 3 things: either faith, hope, or the joy of it. And in the comic, she explained faith, that's why the Jedi would kill. Hope, that's why assassins and bounty hunters kill, because they're hoping to make their lives better through jobs. And then joy, she showed our man Darth Vader slashing people to death, essentially saying, the Sith, they kill for enjoyment. And the main mission here that we saw play out, she took 2 of the assassins she's folded in the Crimson Dawn, which is Ochia Bastoon and Death Stick from Star Wars Uprising. And as they're going on their missions, she sends Death Stick to get this little girl named Cadelia, who is the daughter of 2 other heads of 2 different syndicates. So clearly Kiera wants her, because then she can manipulate the other syndicates to kind of do what she wants. She sends Ochi to kind of upset the Emperor, and his mission's kind of cool, because he goes to Coruscant. You see him spying on this, it's like a group of Imperial officers eating breakfast or something, and we learn that he poisons him, but with a poison that's going to kick off at a certain point in time. And we see, as the issue comes to an end, those officers were actually Imperial guards. So I guess I didn't know that. I didn't know Imperial guards were just Imperial officers. Like, they were in their officer suits, eating breakfast. They go change, throw on the red wardrobe and the helmet. And as they're walking into Palpatine's throne room on Coruscant, they all pass out and die, as they show to Palpatine, like, hey, we can get as close to your fucking Imperial guards, pal. Watch out. So that's all that happened. I mean, Ochi takes out a legion of Imperial guards by poisoning them, and he makes sure Palpatine sees them die at a certain time. And then Death Stick goes and captures this Cadelia girl, who is the daughter of the head of, I forget, like the Unbroken clan or something like that. and the daughter of another syndicate. Because we got to remember, in Crimson Reign, her mission is not to become the chief syndicate. That's why trying to walk it over to the Book of Boba Fett is getting a little squirrely for me, because she doesn't give a fuck about being the top syndicate in the galaxy and running the crime world. She is using Crimson Dawn to try and kill Palpatine and Vader, period. Plain and simple. So while I still believe in my prediction for Book of Boba, it's going to be interesting to see if it plays out and how it does play out based on what we're getting in Crimson Reign. Because we also learned she's dead as fuck. We're getting this story told to us from in the future by this spirit that's attached to something like a holocron talking to an unknown Jedi at this point in time. So there you go. Interesting. Now, Fennec working for Kira. So far, that has not been revealed in Crimson Reign, but Ochia Bastoon is from the Assassin's Guild, so she had multiple assassins at her disposal. So I could see an Ochi showing up in Book of Boba, right? I mean, that'd be cool. He's not only Crimson Dawn connected, but he also extends into the sequel trilogy. And apparently,
Jedi Hunter.
Yeah, apparently there's always been this. There's going to be a link in Book of Boba to the sequel trilogy, and that person that said that, they've come out and said, yeah, it's not the Luke stuff. So
yeah.
there's.
I mean, Ochi makes sense.
Yeah, him showing up, but it's like I said, what's Crimson Dawn worrying about Spice on Tatooine though? What I need to know what their fucking motivation is in Book of Boba if they are the Syndicate, and at that point, if she is dead and Thrawn has kind of taken over with his own hidden forces, that would make some sense to me. But Kira doing it just to run Spice on Tatooine does not line up to what she's doing in Crimson Reign. That's all I'm saying. So, but I'm the asshole that predicted it, so I'm sticking with it. I'll go down on that ship if I have to. All right, Nick. It's time for this week's fan segment. Holy shit, you guys are getting bonus content today. You know how it goes. If you're new here, we do 2 bits during the fan segment to get you all involved. The first being the question of the week, which gets posted every Tuesday on our Instagram, both in the story and as a post. All you got to do is leave a comment, and it may get read and discussed, possibly made fun of on the Star Wars Time Show. Your second avenue of success to being immortalized on the SWTS is to join in with our hashtag on Instagram, hashtag Star Wars Time Show, and tag at Star Wars Time Show with any and all Star Wars art that you create and or share. All right. So could be Ochi. Maz. Yeah, I've heard Maz Kanata. I'm sorry, Nick.
I say Maz Kanata's castle has come up.
I've seen her tied to this too, and you know that could be where Luke takes Grogu to meet Han and Chewie, which would be all sorts of fucking connections. So if that happens, You heard it here. Thank you. All right, man. Let's get on with the question of the week. Let me flip some screens around and see what type of vitriol we had spewed at us this week about one of the greatest episodes of Star Wars of all time. So as we've been doing... I don't know
if you know what blue looks like.
Yeah, I know. But I'm fucked up. I'm colorblind, apparently. All right, so as we've been doing throughout the run of Book of Boba, and it is sad that we only have one more of these to go, so one more long show probably next week, and then we'll be back to spinning our wheels trying to figure out what to talk about. I am thinking maybe we get into just more kind of fun discussions versus just talking about the news, but Nick and I will kind of work on that after next week, because we know we at least have another discussion-filled episode planned for next Wednesday, thanks to Book's finale. All right, so up first, I'll go ahead and take the first one here. Nick, this comes from South P24. Spells favorite wrong, so he must not live in America here. Favorite has to be Cad Bane. He looked so creepy good. Sorry. Enough with the complaining, people. Honorable mention to the 5 seconds of Luke training with his saber and 5 seconds of Order 66. Least favorite would be the general direction or lack of focus of the series. It's not cohesive storytelling. Luke is my favorite Star Wars character, but these series were an opportunity to get away from the Skywalker saga. So are we left with a massive lack of Boba action? If he doesn't do something in the finale, then why is this even his show? Are we going to get a single action scene with him in full armor shooting his blaster?
He blew that one guy
I'm
up.
not sure I understand.
Hey Siri, shut the fuck up. No one's talking to
Siri
you.
doesn't even understand what's
she
going
doing?
on with this show.
That was a good one.
Is as confused as South
Siri, you were not alone when it comes to the Book of Boba Fett. Now don't reply to me. Thank you. I love South P, one of my favorite artists out there, but it's like I said, a lot of people got too locked into the fact that Boba Fett's name is in the title, and they forgot that this is the Mandoverse first and foremost, and we were promised that it would be a shared universe, and it's happening. It happened early. Yeah. Sorry it happened in my man's book, but that's the bonus of calling it a book, because it's just they're different chapters of a book telling ultimately the same story, or feeding into the overall story.
It's going to be hard for people to wrap their heads around how this development of these shows is happening, because there's really nothing else like it out there. Like, there's no other shared TV universe like that exists, period. There's not another one.
The Arrowverse, I guess, is the closest we got. Right?
That's the closest one. That's the closest one, is the Arrowverse, yes. I mean, like, with the Arrowverse and in the MCU, like, that's your closest alternatives. And I mean, in the Arrowverse, you've seen episodes of crossovers where, like, you've had an episode of Arrow where, like, it's a bunch of people from The Flash in it and a bunch of people from Legends and all the other shit. Like, so you have to look at that, like, at this, like, ring of shows, this interconnected series, as the same thing, where it's like, yes, it's the Book of Boba Fett, but the last two, like, every episode doesn't have to be solely focused on him. It's building the blocks of the story that's being told around him and in his sphere and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can understand
we
why.
even had not Fennec. Jesus, come on, Matt, get back to reality. Ming-Na Wen's like, listen, once you see this series in full, all will be revealed. I don't know if that's the best way to sell a show to certain people, but I'm okay being patient to see how this all plays out. I've kind of liked the chess approach to the Book of Boba Fett. Let's move a few pieces in episode 1. Oh, you get to see the payoff down the road. Let's move a few pieces here. Okay, good. I think those that were wanting, like, Rampage Boba, I think you're going to get it. And if him riding the Rancor, causing havoc, doesn't do it for you, then I just don't know what you want this character to be. Because to me, he is a real character now, thanks to this series, not because of what he did in the original trilogy or the aborted Legends nonsense. Boba is a character that has so much more potential moving forward, in my opinion. That's the key here. Opinion. All right, up next. Go ahead. Cheddar Bob. Cheddar Bob.
Cheddar Bob. Now, Cheddar Bob doesn't say if it's what he likes or doesn't like. So I'm just going to take it all as he liked it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
The fact that Boba hasn't had a speaking line in 2 episodes, thumbs up from Cheddar Bob. Grogu training scenes should have been in the Mando season 3. That's a big thumbs up from Cheddar Bob. Did nothing for Boba's character development in the show. Another big thumbs up.
Those are his favorites. Bob. Yeah. So Cheddar Bob is saying, like, no, this is the Boba Fett I remember from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He sits there, doesn't say much, and when he does do something, he's not really doing it himself. He uses the Empire to capture his quarry, and he was essentially drunk as a skunk when he tried to take on a Jedi and Han Solo. So, yeah. But you are right. Those are all favorite moments there.
100%. Next up, Clone War 501st says, I think the biggest problem with the series is the way it's released. Week by week, I am enjoying the show, but I think it feels like a long movie, so would have benefited from a full season drop. Love the podcast, guys. You speak the truth.
Oh, shit. Sign this. Who the fuck is this person? Clone Wars 501.
War 501.
Send them a plaque.
Yeah.
Right?
Love the podcast.
They're going. They may get number 1 fan designation.
Yeah. He knows, but I mean, like I can see what he's saying, where it does feel like a movie.
No, it does,
chopped up.
and I think early on I was saying, I'm like, just be patient, people. We're watching a long fucking movie here. This isn't. Exactly. These aren't Miller time episodes where you resolve plot points in 30 minutes. So I get you. But yeah, we're moving Clone Wars 500 first up to the top of the totem pole, the fan totem pole here.
You've made it. You made it, Clone Wars. Next up, the Imperial Communique says, so much goodness, just can't get over how good Luke looked. At the same time, too bad the lip sync was a tad off. Yeah, we spoke about that a little bit too. Eventually they're going to have to either shit or get off the pot with the new actor or full CG.
Agreed.
And last one, William Blackseries says, I'm kind of pissed Luke is making Grogu choose between the Beskar and the lightsaber. Give him both! And give him all the training and guidance you possibly can, especially since that's what Yoda did for Luke. Regardless of Luke's defiance and poor decision-making, Yoda was willing to train and teach Luke, literally the last breath in the little green body.
Thank you, William Blackseries. You get me. Thank you.
There you go.
That guy, William Blackseries, summed it up better than I did ranting and raving, like an hour ago. Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. I don't think I did a good job making the case, but there you go. William Blackseries nailed it. All right.
Nailed it. Good stuff.
Now it's time for this week's version of the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features of the Week. Like I said, if you're new here, throughout the week, I will look at all of our tags and hashtags uses, and I will share them out on our account on Mondays. Nick sits down with his glass of bourbon and a cigar, scrolls through all the features, and picks his 5 favorite for a particular week. So this week we're covering 131 to 27. Who do we got? My man.
First up is cats versus toys. And look, I know I had another cat one last week too from Sir Dork. But look, when you put cats next to Star Wars toys in a Star Wars diorama, you got me. I don't know what to say. But it's great. The posing of the stormtroopers that we see, one of them getting trampled underfoot of the cat, and then the others running away from this giant feral beast who just invaded their area. I mean, I think it's great. Also, just like the look on the cat's face is great.
The cat, it's a perfect cat look. The cat's like, I fucking hate my human, but I'll just do it to get it out of their system. Like, look at the cat. The cat's just giving the human side eye, like, you motherfucker, making me do this shit, shoving me in these holes, coming out, and you got these stupid ass little pieces of plastic in front of me. I'm gonna eat you in your sleep.
Dude, I love it. If you go to the feed too, there's one of them where the cat, like, if you have cats, you know that they like nuzzle their face against stuff. And he's got a picture of it doing that, but it looks like he's about to eat one of the stormtroopers.
It's fantastic.
Oh,
like it's just, I mean, that's what I said when I shared it. I was like a big fan of what Cats versus Toys is up to, because I am a cat lover through and through. I love all animals. I've said it before. I think I like them more than humans. But it's just they're beautiful little beasts because of their personalities, and they are so like, fuck you, I'll do what I want. Every cat, even my big dopey cat that we call Leia, and I'm pretty sure like she's not quite there, doesn't quite have all the chromosomes, but even she'll like get very ornery, like, hey, no, you don't touch me now. Like I'll jump on you, I'll jump on your keyboard, I'll claw into your chair. That's when you touch me. Otherwise, get the fuck out of my space. So it's a beautiful page. Hopefully they'll get a little more attention through the show here and Star Wars fans. But this is I'm guessing maybe they found us because we shared Jared's shot of the cat, but either way, I'm glad we got tagged, because it is a very fun page, and it's not just all Star Wars. They got another cat going after Link. They got going after Link and a few. Yeah, the Ghostbusters one. Like, look at that! What a beautiful gray cat.
The Ghostbusters one's fucking really good. I like.
Yeah, I mean, the cat there is almost playing the role like of this demon thing coming to get him, but it's also a look of I fucking hate you, human. Like, why are you doing this to me? I hope you die. So it's beautiful. So cats vs toys. If you love cats and you love toy photography, it doesn't get better than that.
Awesome stuff. There we go. Next up, is from @Akbart, but it's ACKB.ART. So Akbart on Instagram. And this is just an awesome farm boy Luke shot. You got the twin sons of Tatooine above him, and him coming out of the Lars homestead. And what I like here, and I don't know if it's just me, I love how he extended the shot up to include
it's
like the sky and the two suns.
It's definitely a unique framing of the subject matter, because usually you want the subject matter in your main crosshairs if you're going rule of thirds, all that fun stuff. But ACKB.art decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going full portrait style on this usually landscape type of shot. And it worked. That's what sold me too, Nick, is like, it's like you kind of feel the larger world that Luke is pining for by leaning on the door of the hovel there, and you see the twin suns, and it feels like a bigger universe by framing it this way.
Exactly. So just a great shot. I think everything that you said is kind of mirrors my feelings about it, and how this shot evokes that emotion, even though it's just like, hey, it's just a portrait style. Sometimes something like that can make a big difference in the message that you're conveying.
It's a damn good Lars Homestead dio too. I mean, the hovel's done well, and then the little shit. What are those? Those are like rusted nuts and bolts, I think. And then,
I would say one of it, like you can see, like it's nuts and bolts, but then one of them, one of them
looks like a propane tank, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say a propane tank, like a little propane tank.
I wonder if they like shrunk that down, or if they made a miniature, rusted out, weathered in, lived in propane tank. Either way, top quality work here from ACKB.ART. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. ABC. Next one's blocked out. Hold on, I gotta see if I can load it up.
Oh no! All right. Well, next one I'll intro. It's from Lionworks, and it's a 2-shot feature that shows
I got it.
Little Mando and the little baby Grogu with Boba Fett in the background, but they're playing Jenga. And the first shot, so Grogu's using the Force to pull the block out.
He sure is.
And Mando's like, "Oh my God, is it gonna stay? Is it gonna stay?" Next shot. Oh no, it doesn't stay. Mando's got his head down.
It is. It's a nice little story, and it's all sold through the posing of Mando. But even Grogu looks at Mando all disappointed, like, "Oh, sorry,
He's
big
like,
guy.
Oh, sorry,
my bad."
Sorry, Dad.
But I mean, honestly, Mando should be in his face like, "Fuck you, I win." You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, you lose.
Jenga,
with the
bitch.
Force, I beat. Got the Force, came beat me at Jenga. You suck. Now what? No, I just thought it was an awesome, creative little thought process here behind this shot from @Lionworks, LYONWORX.
Yeah, we featured them before with other, as I call, Star Wars IRL setups, so Star Wars in real life. Quality stuff here from Lionworks.
Very, very fun shot. Good stuff. Go give them a follow on the IG. Next up this is from @Phot.toys, PHOT.toys on Instagram. And it is like you said, it's kind of a deep piece when you look at it. So what we see is Mando being literally pulled in different directions between the armor and Paz Vizsla on one side, and then you have the Night Owls on the other side pulling him, and then Grogu kind of in the middle, just reaching out to his papa.
This dude, I mean, it's almost too intelligent for this show. This shot is almost too clever for the Star Wars time show, because it embodies in a piece of photography the struggle that Din is about to go through, and feeling the pull from all three sides. His responsibility to his family, his kind of demented allegiance to the Creed, but also his connection to non-Kool-Aid drinking Mandos. And I just, when I saw this shot, I was like, it's a piece of art that represents what is going to go down in Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah.
We're not going to physically see these factions pulling Din in half. This is what is going on within his soul right now. He has 3 factions, if you will, pulling him in different directions. And it's fantastic. Like I said, it's too deep, too intelligent for the Star Wars Time show.
Yeah.
But we had to share
little touches. The little touches are great too. Like the conflicting lighting on both sides. On the armorer's side, you have the smoke with the orange light, the blue light on the side of the Night Owls. I mean, just like you said, very deep, very thought-provoking piece of art here from @phot, PHOT.toys on Instagram. Make sure to follow because there's some good stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a perfect summation of how Din's head was left at the end of episode 5 right here. I mean, it's just perfect.
Beautiful, beautiful work. All right, last one for the top 5 this week is @97_parsecs_photography, and it's the blue man. It's the one that everybody hates apparently from fucking Book of Boba Fett, Cad Bane, and he's doing his Cad Bane thing, shooting up some stormtroopers in the desert. Even got a big ATST behind him, and he's got his little droid companion right next to him as the carnage ensues.
As I look at Todo, I feel like he's considering sabotaging Cad's.
I know he's like
foot rocket there, right?
Yeah, his feet rocket.
Because he does. I mean, just go rewatch the 2 episode that Cad is in Bad Batch. I mean, he is just awful to Todo.
Abused.
Like Todo is
this poor little droid.
Todo is probably treated worse by Cad than C-3PO treats R2-D2, and that's saying a lot.
It's like to the level, if you've seen the Harry Potter movies, of how Lucius Malfoy treats Dobby.
There you go.
Where he's just like kicking him downstairs. Exactly. Like, you're a fucking piece of shit. Like, what do you want? Like, get away from me. This kind of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, the shot itself is fantastic. I mean, as with all of 97 Parsecs work, I mean the bokeh edition from the blaster bolts, the perfect positioning of the ATSC in the background, the posing on all of the dead and still living figures in the shot. I mean, just top notch work as always from 97.
Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer. It worked for the Empire. No, his good. I mean, 97's a pro. There's no doubt about it. Very good at building dynamic scenes, mix and scale. I mean, that AD-ST, that's 118 scale mixed in here with 112. It's just good shit. I mean, it's an account like many that we featured before in the top 5 that kind of has to get governed every once in a while. So it's not just the 97 Parsecs photography share session every week, but quality work here from this account.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Love Face XYZ, we love you too.
Oh, look at this. We have some.
It's weird, like
spammers.
Even if the wrenches like mod them out, it's only like a timeout. Like I don't know.
There's so many like burner accounts that these things have too. Is like you ban one and they can just get back on another one. It's
I wonder why come here? Like, we don't even have a big audience. Like, what's the point? I mean, 50 people are gonna see your dumb shit. So
yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. But anyway, that's the end of the top 5. Thank you everybody who tagged us through the week. Got some awesome shots, all of them in the appropriate shade of blue, I should say, as well. So well done to all the photographers. His nose
is the correct length too.
Yes, the nose is spot on this Cad Bane. And guess what? That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of this episode of Star Wars Time Show. So Matt, take us home.
Tell you what a roller coaster of a show. I mean, it felt like 2018 there for a little bit, but no, there's no hard feelings here. We're all having fun. We're all having fun. Listen, I get worked up sometimes, but you'll know when I'm really angry. Don't worry. Nick and I have had some conversations where we both know that each other isn't really feeling the other at the current moment. So that was not a Matt and Nick kind of throw down type of argument. If I thought Matt was
really mad, I wouldn't have kept poking him.
Yeah. Trust me. We've had worse moments than that. Like, sadly, a lot of them are pre-show or something, but no, don't worry. It's all fun. And, you know, I love you guys. And if there's any gals that come into the stream, it's all fun. That's why we do this every Tuesday. And that's why we need you to keep pounding the drum. Star Wars Time Show. Star Wars Time Show. Oh. Do it. I'm telling you, it worked last week. There might have been like 10 of you that took the time on Wednesday to be like, hey, check out Star Wars Time Show's breakdown. I think you will like it. It's actually level-headed, and it's not just bitching and moaning. That's what we need to get across to people. Like the people that have become disenfranchised with other Star Wars accounts and fans always being negative. We have plenty of negativity here, but we have a fun time spewing it out. So just keep it. I would love the same accounts, the same hardcore fans. Get out there, promote tomorrow's breakdown. You know it's coming. It'll probably be out there before 10 a.m. East, because I have a feeling that I will not be able to sleep very long tonight. Because like a lot of you, I am jazzed to see how the Book of Boba Fett plays out. I don't give a fuck if Boba Fett even shows up. It's Star Wars content. It's a beautiful shared universe. It's a deep shared universe, and it's an interesting shared universe that we love to talk about on the Star Wars Time Show. So if you want to get more involved with the show or just follow along in between episodes of the SWTS, make sure to memorize StarWarsTime.net. That's all you need to sell the show. Not that the site is something that's going to wow people, but it's the same content that we talk about every week, as well as anything that I may feel the need to cover, even though I know people don't really give a shit. I guess I just like it in the end because I am a Star Wars fan, and the shit makes me happy. As angry as I am, as curmudgeonly as I've gotten in my old age, one thing gets me moving, gets me excited, and that's some fake science fiction, especially from the Star Wars galaxy. So don't forget, friends, let's keep building up this little merry band of followers. Look how much more fun it is to be on the live stream when there's active chatting going on. You guys can poke me, you can poke Nick, you can poke each other. That's what we're here for. We are here to celebrate Star Wars because there is always time for Star Wars time. Enough with the nonsense. And besides, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force, and maybe some angry little man will be with you always.